vote altogether.
McCarthy told reporters last hour if 5 Republicans vote against him, he's out, and he's not asking for Democrats to support him. A couple from Utah was seriously injured when their elephant ride in Thailand took a turn for the worse. Nicole Siri and Mark Martin say the elephant threw the guide off and started running. The two decided to jump, and Siri tells KSL TV what happened next.
When he jumped, the elephant turned and went in on him. And so then I see the elephant gorging Mark. I don't know if he's stepping on him, if he's got his tufts through him. I can't see that. All I see is the back end of an elephant bent over him.
She says Martin suffered severe injuries to his back and hips. Both were life-flighted to Utah and are now recovering at Intermountain Medical Center. Your money at this moment, tough day for the markets. The Dow is off 352 points. That's a little above 1%. The S&P is down 1.3%. The NASDAQ is off now 1.75%. It's down 230 points. Coming up, one more day of rain. May last actually through tomorrow morning. We'll check the full forecast coming up next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
What do you need to hear in the morning to feel ready for the day?
Important news that happened overnight, the traffic you'll hit on the roads.
You'll be ready for your day with us.
Join Utah's Morning News 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Here's another satisfied customer of 3-Day Kitchen and Bath, Anita Bennett.
When I first heard about 3-Day Kitchen and Bath, I thought, there's no way they could do a good job in 3 days, and they must carry only the plain Jane basics in cabinets, countertops, and flooring. Then they came to our house, and we found out they offered top-quality materials with tons of choices and lots of custom options. They worked with us to design a bathroom that was perfect for our family. They looked at our needs and thought of details I hadn't even considered. The installation was clean, thorough, and professional, and they were done in just 3 days. When we got back from the hotel, I couldn't believe the difference. The bathroom is beautiful.
See us on the web at 3daykitchen.com.
It's about time.
3 days or less
at 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Get ready, Utah! It's Medicare annual enrollment period, so why not make enrolling easier with United Healthcare? Whether you choose our online tools or over-the-phone support, United Healthcare will help you compare options so you can choose a plan with confidence. This is Medicare made for Utah, trusted everywhere. Explore our wide range of plans by calling United Healthcare today at 1-855-MEET-UHC. That's 1-855-MEET-UHC. Annual enrollment begins October 15th and ends December 7th, so call today.
Imagine how inconvenient your life would be without power. No lights, no refrigeration, no heating or cooling, and no electronics. But with a Generac home standby generator, you'll have the power when you need it most. Generac generators automatically provide backup after sensing a power outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Schedule a free quote today with Genco Generators, your premier Generac service dealer in Utah. Call 801-295-0872 or online at gencogenerators.net.
When I first started my soda weight loss journey, I have to tell you, I was a little stressed. Making that kind of commitment and doing it publicly is a big risk. I was a little bit worried. But I'm telling you, from the moment I started with Soda Weight Loss, SOTA stands for State-of-the-Art Weight Loss, I knew I wasn't alone. I had a coach, I had weekly connection, I could call or text anytime to make sure I was staying on path. The 37 pounds just dropped in the first 90 days, and here I am almost 2 years down the road, and I'm still 37 pounds down. I feel great. I have more energy, and there's nothing to be afraid of because you don't do it alone when it comes to soda. You have that coach and nutritionist. You really attack everything, all points of the compass, emotional eating, your habits, your behaviors. How do you get food as fuel to really change the game in your life? So check it out at Soda Weight Loss. As I always say, when it comes to your soda weight loss journey, there's no time to lose, only time to win. So check it out at sodaweightloss.com, SOTA weightloss.com.
Traffic and weather together is again brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Andy, I can see what you're talking about there in Taylorsville. It's a mess.
Yeah, it's been really frustrating for drivers who normally are able to just zip through that stretch. It's still backed up from 5400 to 4700 south because of a crash on the right shoulder. Just one vehicle left and one emergency vehicle, but they're still taking up the right lane, so you'll want to avoid it for now. North 15, coming over Point of the Mountain, you'll only see a little bit of slowing, mostly right lanes between Bluffdale and Bangerter. And then a little further north, you are going to hit the brakes in all lanes, but maybe the HOV lane around 7200 South. Davis and Weber County, that southbound drive looks great from Ogden all the way to Salt Lake. The early bird sale ends today at Zero Res Carpet Cleaning. Just $25 per room for the best no residue cleaning along the range. Minimums and area restrictions may apply. Schedule online at zerores.com. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
High today of only 56. Rain showers on and off throughout the day. 64 tomorrow with the clouds moving in. Then sunny and warming Thursday through the weekend. Look at that. 70, 74, 77, 76, all the way through Monday. Going to be perfect. Right now in Salt Lake City, it's 50 degrees at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
If DC was a soap opera right now, it would be, which soap opera would it be? Young and the Restless, As the World Turns.
Days of Our Lives.
Wild. We're just getting word that a vote is set on whether to oust House Speaker McCarthy. Just got set for later this afternoon. This story is all kinds of crazy.
And what's wild is this is not just soap opera drama in the Republican Party. They're trying to bring the Democrats into this as well. They're trying to suck them into the drama.
It's a soap opera. You got to have an affair with somebody.
It's the perfect comparison. It's the perfect comparison. It's 9:07. It's time for the launch.
Sequence engaged.
And here are the three things, not just adultery related, that Debbie wants you to know.
Countdown. 3.
I feel badly starting this next thought with former Congressman Chris Stewart is calling us in 30 minutes. Now, he's barely retired from the House, right? He could have been caught up in this mess, too. But he's already in the midst of a new agreement I was surprised to learn about between Utah and Ukraine for Utah's defense contractors to supply military equipment, build stuff for Ukraine. I wonder if this could bring a windfall of funding that the feds are paying Ukraine back to Utah. We're going to ask him. We'll also get his take on the antics in D.C., the soap opera that's going on right now, the attempt to oust or not House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who just spoke out about this.
At the end of the day, if I am removed from Speaker because I kept the troops from getting paid, they're able to be paid, and the border agents able to be paid, you know, that's a fight worth fighting for.
I don't think anybody has ever questioned Chris Stewart's conservative values. I will be very, very interested to get his perspective on Speaker McCarthy specifically.
Countdown. 2.
In about 27 hours from now, if I've done my math right, cell phones all over Utah, and in fact the entire nation, are going to be triggered with an alarm. It's an alert. It's the federal government. They are dipping into your cell phone to test the thing with the wireless alert system just to make sure everything's cool. But in our 10 o'clock hour, we're going to have a live interview on how this test is going to work, how loud our cell phones are going to be, and what the government hopes to learn from this test. And I also wonder, Dave, under what scenario would they trigger our cell phones for a nationwide alert if there were an actual emergency? Like, what scenario would trigger that alert?
I know we've had all sorts of problems locally with the Amber Alert system. I mean, how difficult and how many times have we had issues with that system?
You remember when we got like two half words? Like,
you mean gray
helpful.
Toyota? No, gray Toit. That's what we're looking for.
An alert has to be actually helpful.
Yeah, it certainly has to be helpful. So if we're having this much problem on a statewide scale, what's it going to be like with all 50 nifty?
Launch countdown. 1.
All right, drama. Here we got Republican Matt Gaetz coming after Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy.
And the one thing I agree with my Democrat colleagues on is that for the last 8 months, This House has been poorly led.
All right, but we got a big question for you, Matt. Do you have enough votes to get rid of McCarthy?
This, you said it was a soap opera. I think it's Rocky 2. McCarthy wins the first match in the controversial 15-vote grudge match.
I am going to govern with what is best for this country. I don't understand how long will it take to understand that. I went 15 rounds.
15 rounds in Congress, 15 rounds in the boxing ring. Now Matt Gaetz is going for the rematch. Can Rocky dethrone the champ?
Dave and Dujanovic.
The launch.
Commence.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
In this drama, it's called the motion to vacate. It only takes one person to call for a motion to vacate. That was Republican Matt Gaetz. Did it at the very last minute last night before they adjourned for the day. He's done that very thing. He's called for House Speaker McCarthy to be removed as Speaker of the House. Speaker McCarthy has responded several times. Here's one of the things he said about that.
It's all right if Republicans and Democrats join together to do what is right. If somebody wants to make a motion against me, bring it. There has to be an adult in the room.
McCarthy tweets, "Bring it on."
And then Matt Gaetz tweets back, "Just did." It's almost parody at this point.
Well, then you better bring it. Oh, it's already been brought.
Soap operas, spoof movies, Rocky. I mean, it has all of the components of Washington drama.
It's just wild to watch what's been going on. Will the real adult please stand up? Does Gaetz
Now we're making Slim Shady references? Wow.
I wonder if Gaetz has the votes to remove McCarthy. I don't think he does. He certainly did during the first go-around. It did take Kevin McCarthy 15 rounds of voting. Remember way back when it's like, this guy's never going to be voted in as Speaker. But eventually, after 15 rounds of voting, he did get enough votes to be named Speaker of the House. I mean, I think there was a lot of negotiation going on and arm twisting as well. So Gaetz was asked if McCarthy were removed as Speaker, wouldn't he just throw his hat back in the ring?
I would think that if it took Kevin McCarthy 15 rounds to become Speaker, and after 8 months of a failed speakership, and after a successful removal vote, as your hypothesis would portend, that he would take a hint.
Would he take a hint?
No. I don't think McCarthy's ever been better. Honestly.
How so?
I think he's been tough. I mean, he's had to negotiate, and he's been very transparent about it. I have to negotiate with Democrats. I think most people across the country would understand that. You have to negotiate to get this through. You cannot shut down the government again at the 11th hour just because not everybody's getting their way. Keep it open, negotiate for the next 45 days, and come back at us with a plan.
It's a conversation I have all the time. When I'm talking politics with people, they'll say, I don't like this, and I'm mad that they did that. I said, okay, then what's the solution? I understand your frustration. I know that you're angry, but what is the solution? And what I'm hearing from Matt Gaetz is a lot of frustration, a lot of anger. Okay, then what's the solution? Because to your point, Deb, at some point you have to work together. You can't just say no to everything all the time. Otherwise, it's complete and utter chaos. The government will be paralyzed. It cannot move. You have to say yes. And that's what Speaker McCarthy has done. Is it perfect? No, it never is. But at some point, you have to say yes.
Here's a question mark. If not McCarthy, then who's the Speaker?
Our number 2 is Steve Scalise. I think very highly of Steve Scalise. I would vote for Steve Scalise. I would probably vote for at least 100 Republicans in our caucus and maybe 100 other Americans out there who wouldn't necessarily need to be a member of the body to be considered for the speakership. But
is Steve Scalise the heir apparent? Next.
Dave and Dujanovic. Hi, it's Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Why should you start your day with us?
We have decades of news experience between us.
And we take your trust seriously.
Come here for news tomorrow, 5 to 9.
On KSL.
Do you need tickets for Taylor?
Yes, please.
It's hard to find good ones to the Eras concert movie.
Tell me about it.
So let KSL do this for your kids. Or maybe it's for you. We're giving away a pair of tickets to a private KSL screening of the Eras movie. Just listen each day at 8:45, 11:45, and 3:45 for your chance to win. 3 chances to win every weekday. 8:45, 11:45, and 3:45 for the next 2 weeks on KSL News Radio.
If you have a water heater, I'm about to save you $100. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and a lot of people don't realize that water heaters need annual maintenance. You can do it yourself, or you can leave it to a plumber. And today, Tuesday, October 3rd, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for KSL listeners. Normally, we charge $149 to flush and service your water heater. But if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your water heater for only $49. That's $100 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say annual maintenance can help your water heater last longer, produce hot water faster, and our plumbers service all brands. 801-443-7400. If it's been over a year since you've had your water heater flushed and serviced, call Any Hour Services right now. While you're thinking about it, lock in this $100 savings and schedule your $49 water heater tune-up today. Call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Imagine it's the final game of the season, but your symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, are making a comeback. What should you do? Keep managing your constipation with belly pain the same old way? Or try getting ahead of your symptoms by talking to your doctor about Linzess, linaclotide. Linzess is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually.
Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
Imagine, what could relief from IBS-C mean for you? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Pelvic congestion syndrome, or pelvic venous congestion, is an important but often overlooked cause of chronic pelvic pain. It's estimated that up to 30% of patients with chronic pelvic pain may actually suffer from a symptomatic pelvic venous disorder. IVC, the leading interventional vascular and vein center in Utah for over 15 years, is here to help. Typical symptoms of pelvic venous congestion include dull achiness and heaviness in the pelvis, often made worse by prolonged standing. Well, it can often be successfully treated with a minimally invasive procedure called embolization. Pelvic venous embolization requires little or no downtime and is performed in an outpatient setting. Nearly 85% of women treated experience significant relief of their symptoms. If you suffer from the symptoms of pelvic venous congestion, let the experts at IVC help. Visit ivein.com for more or call 801-379-6700 today. As IVC has been saying for years, life starts when the pain stops.
Hi friends, Dan the Laptop Man here from PC Laptops. I get a lot of emails from people all the time. Here's one. Dear Dan, I hear your talk about a lifetime service guarantee. Free? Really? Please help me avoid all your fine print and be honest about what free means. You understand that we should be very wary of a free offer. Signed, Skeptical. Hi, Skeptical. I remember 22 years ago when we started PC Laptops and our lifetime service guarantee, people thought it was too good to be true. Well, after a decade, people started believing me a little bit. But it's been 22 years of having the privilege to serve our friends and neighbors like you. Our lifetime service guarantee has become the most trusted warranty in the industry. You can get a brand new PC Laptops desktop computer, and they start at only $29 a month. Check us out at PCLaptops.com. That's PCLaptops.com. Here's to seeing you soon, Skeptical.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, the U.S. Small Business Administration is offering loans to Utahns impacted by heavy rain and flooding 2 months ago. Second, the attorney representing several women accusing Tim Ballard of sexual misconduct says she's preparing a lawsuit on their behalf. And third, Hunter Biden was in court this morning and just a few moments ago pleaded not guilty to a charge of illegally possessing a firearm. We're going to shoot for a high today of 56, and right now in Salt Lake City it's 50 degrees and cloudy. Now back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
Here's what we have going on in our nation's capital right now in Washington, D.C. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy tweets, "Bring it on." And Matt Gaetz, representative who initiated a call to oust him from his speakership, he tweets back, "Just did." Here's what Kevin McCarthy said earlier about this move to boot him.
That's all right if Republican and Democrats join together to do what is right. If somebody wants to make a motion against me, bring it. There has to be an adult in the room.
There has to be an adult in the room. Now, that's super condescending, right? There's no question. He's so bothered, and understandably so. It took him 15 rounds to become the speaker in the first place because a group of Republicans from the House Freedom Caucus basically banded together and they refused to vote for Kevin McCarthy time and time again, day after day, and they just kept voting. They'd end one vote, they'd nominate again, and then they'd vote, and it was this back and forth. I remember we were live on the air when it was happening, Deb, and I just thought at some point Kevin McCarthy is going to be too embarrassed to continue, right? He's going to step down. Absolutely not. He was determined. He was going to win no matter what. Eventually, he did.
Here's what he said about it.
I am going to govern with what is best for this country. I don't understand how long will it take to understand that. I went 15 rounds.
He's not afraid.
Yeah. No,
He's not afraid.
Well, what's the word? Shameless? I guess he is so determined to do the job. He doesn't care what happens behind the scenes.
So what if one coworker stood up and said, "I want to vote Dave off of the D2 island. Like, I want him out of that chair." One person. So they don't like what you did. They don't like what you say. They don't like how you write. They don't like how you talk. You're done.
Right.
One person.
Okay.
That would stink. You would have to have really thick skin to deal with it. And then if it's a second person and a third person, you would have to have thick skin. You would have to have absolutely no shame.
Except this is where I'd push back on you a little bit. If that were the case, no question it would hurt my feelings that I'm not universally loved by all. But then if 218 of my closest friends at the station stood up and said, "No, he's our guy."
Well, then you'd be fired.
If 218 said we love Dave,
then we'd say there's a real problem with Dave. Yeah, you would be fired. But
wait,
I
how
don't
so?
know. Well, I mean, if there's enough complaints against you.
No. Okay, I didn't explain myself well. Okay, so it takes one person in the house to say, "I don't like Dave." But then if 218 people said, "No, we love Dave,"
I see what you're saying.
Then all of a sudden I wouldn't be so hurt. I wouldn't be so offended by the few people that don't like me.
Yeah.
And that's what Kevin McCarthy is counting on is, fine, Matt Gaetz, you can hate me. But if I can get 218 of other Republicans that stand up and say, "No, he's doing fine," then who cares what the 1 or 2 or 3 people think? If 218 people vote for Kevin McCarthy, it doesn't matter if everyone else hates him.
So does Gaetz have the votes? How many does he need to get McCarthy ousted? Is it 218?
Well, okay, so there's this is where it gets a little tricky. So there are 221 Republicans in the House of Representatives. We're just going to assume that every Democrat is going to vote against Kevin McCarthy because that's what they've done every time since.
They're not going to save him.
They could. They absolutely could. And that may be a path for Kevin McCarthy to survive.
Under your scenario, the Dems don't.
Let's just assume Democrats have zero support, zero love for Kevin McCarthy because those previous 15 rounds, they never voted for him, not once. So of the 221 GOP members, they can only lose 3. In fact, they can only lose 2 now that Chris Stewart has resigned.
When you say they, do you mean Gates?
Republicans can only lose. Of every Republican in the House of Representatives, they can only have 2 defectors, 2 people that say no to Kevin McCarthy. If Matt Gaetz has himself and 2 other people, then Kevin McCarthy does not have enough votes to be Speaker of the House. So who are those at least 3 people that Matt Gaetz has that are Republicans that are going to say, I'm done with you, Kevin McCarthy?
Haven't a few Republicans said, I'm done with you, Matt Gaetz?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
but he's not running for Speaker.
Right. But he also needs them.
He just needs 3.
Yeah. So Gaetz, as he claimed, let's listen to what he said about working or not working with Democrats.
I have made no deal with Democrats because I believe that Democrats should vote against Kevin McCarthy for free. It's Kevin McCarthy who's out there offering deals to Democrats. So if there's a deal made with Democrats, the only deal is to make one with McCarthy, because I'm not offering anything and won't offer anything.
So the point he's making is there's been some rumors that, say Matt Gaetz gets 10 Republicans to say, we're done with Kevin McCarthy. Well, then it would only take 10 Democrats to say, we think he's okay. And then Kevin McCarthy is Speaker of the House. So for every vote you lose on the Republican side, Kevin McCarthy theoretically could just make it up by getting a Democrat to come over and say, yeah, he's fine for Speaker of the House.
The math is crazy.
Yeah, it's a yo-yo.
This scorecard is hard to follow. We're talking about House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. We expect to vote later today, so it probably happened, I'm going to guess, either during Boyd Matheson's show, Inside Sources, or during the afternoon news with Jeff Kaplan. I don't know if Jeff's back yet or if Maria's in for Jeff today. Either way, we've got you covered when that vote happens. And we don't know if it's going to go 15 rounds. You talked about the 15 rounds the last time that took for Kevin McCarthy to win the speakership. You and I were on the air when the voting started. I remember we were kind of like, this will fly by. Well, it was like midnight that night, or like the next day or something like that. It just kept going and going and going. So this could be a drama within inside a drama. Right now we have Florida Representative Matt Gaetz, who stood up late yesterday just before the House was ready to adjourn for the day. He's like a child who is scared to tell his parents something. You wait till the very last minute and you raise your hand and you're like, hey, I want to oust you. So he made a motion late yesterday to oust Speaker McCarthy. PR-wise, that was smart because it's played out throughout the day today, so far this morning and overnight in the news cycle. What he needs now is the votes to do it. We expect a vote to happen later today. Again, like I said, perhaps during Jeff Kaplan's afternoon news. But if not McCarthy, then who? It seems like Gaetz is maybe he's already cutting a deal with Scalise.
Our number 2 is Steve Scalise. I think very highly of Steve Scalise. I would vote for Steve Scalise. I would probably vote for at least 100 Republicans in our caucus and maybe 100 other Americans out there who wouldn't necessarily need to be a member of the body to be considered for the speakership. But I am not going to pass over Steve Scalise just because he has blood cancer and is going through treatment.
Yeah, Steve Scalise obviously struggling with some real health issues. There was a little nugget there that I think a lot of us, I certainly didn't know until recently, that the Speaker of the House doesn't actually have to be a member of the House of Representatives. You can actually pull somebody, as he said, I could grab 100 Americans out there and put them in this position, and then they could run as Speaker of the House, and they could get voted upon.
Maybe we should do that.
Who would that be?
It's a hypothetical. But maybe we should do that. I don't know. It's interesting when you said that. I'm like thinking to myself, who would it be?
Bring back Newt Gingrich?
I can't. No, we need new blood. We need new blood back in D.C. Somebody who's a D.C. outsider would be perfect. We'll continue to watch that story as it develops. I don't know if that's. I heard that this takes priority. As soon as the motion was made, this takes priority. So what we have hanging out there is a budget that needs to be decided on within 45 days because that continuing resolution that McCarthy pushed through with the help of Democrats over the weekend is in a time crunch. He only has 6 weeks to get a real budget figured out if he's able to do that. But this vote takes priority. Everything else gets pushed aside until this situation is resolved. Next, we'll ask retired member of the House, Representative Chris Stewart, is calling the show. We're going to ask him what he would have done in this moment if he was still back in D.C. And also, there's a new agreement between Utah's defense industry to build and supply military equipment to Ukraine, and he's involved in that. We're going to find out more next.
KSL News Time now is 9:30. I'm Tim Hughes with a look at some of our top local stories. The family of a murdered Utah football player, Aaron Lowe, is holding a food and clothing drive to honor his memory. From now until November, the Keep 'em Smiling Foundation is taking donations to give to those in need, something that Aaron's mother, Donna Lowe, said he did all throughout his life.
Aaron was a kid that will give you the shirt off his back. He always tried to help others.
She tells KSL TV they did something similar for the homeless in Texas last year, and most of those donations, which helped over 150 people, came from Utah. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A young girl kidnapped during a family camping trip in New York State has been found safe, and the suspect is in custody this hour.
The 9-year-old girl disappeared during a family camping trip at a lake in Saratoga County, New York. It wasn't high tech that caused a break in the case. It was something tried and true, indicated by Governor Kathy Hochul.
There had been a DWI in 1999 in the city of Saratoga. A fingerprint was found that matched what was found on the ransom note.
State police say their investigation led to a search of houses and a trailer and the girl, and the arrest of a 47-year-old man. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Starting today, many Utahns can apply for low-interest loans to help cover the cost of damage from rain and flooding that happened in early August. Draper was hit especially hard during these storms. They and the rest of Salt Lake, Davis, Morgan, Tooele, Utah, Summit, and Wasatch counties are all eligible for the help. Your money at this moment, the markets could use a little help today. The Dow is down 425 points. It's 1.3%. The S&P is down 62, which is almost 1.5%. The NASDAQ down 1.75% right now. It's off by 235 points. Coming up, cloudy skies and then a warm-up on the other side of these clouds. We'll check that full forecast next. KSL News Time, 9:33.
We have enough people running around Broadcast House at 4 in the morning to field a football team.
Producers, reporters, the traffic team, and us.
This is Tim and Amanda.
Join us each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hey, folks, let me tell you, one of the things that I've loved for years now is my Kinetico water softener. I had them install it after they came out to my house. They showed me all the places that hard water destroys my house. And I don't even think I'm overstating that because it wasn't long before I got my soft water system set up that some hard water corrosion burst a pipe in my dishwasher and it flooded my kitchen. It was a nightmare. So when Kinetico came out and showed me the difference, it has cleaned the dishes better, laundry. It's softer on my skin. We've really loved, and we're happy that we made that investment. If you want to know how to get soft water and how it would affect your home and whether or not it's a good investment in your house, give Kinetico of Utah a call, 801-576-8600. That's 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com.
Are you a business owner or HR rep? Does your company offer health insurance to your employees? If so, how do you know if you're getting the best deal on employee benefits? Every company works with a benefit broker who offers insurance plans. But did you know that a benefit broker makes more money when you spend more? Brokers are not only incentivized to steer you to more expensive insurance plans, but the more quotes they get, the harder they have to work and the less money they make. Most brokers get quotes from a few insurance companies, or they recommend you renew as is. They don't do the extra work to get you the best deal. Either way, they get paid. What if you could save 10%, 20%, or more, but you don't know it? No one should have to wonder if they're getting the best deal on employee benefits. My name is Keith with Magellan & Linden. We're a different kind of benefit broker that offers a best plan, best price guarantee. Unlike other brokers, we get quotes from every insurance company, every year. It forces insurance companies to compete for your business and offer the best deal possible. We'll show you all your options, help you weigh the pros and cons, and then you'll feel confident to make the right choice for your company. Here's what you do. Step 1, Visit shopmyplan.com. Step 2, we get you free quotes with no strings attached. Step 3, if you like what you see, let's work together. Step 4, you get the best plan at the best price. Your employees will be happy because they have great insurance. Your bank account will thank you because you got a great deal. If your benefits broker isn't getting quotes from every insurance company every year, you're probably paying too much. That's money that could make a big difference to your business, your employees, and your bottom line. You've got nothing to lose, so visit shopmyplan.com today to get the best deal on employee health insurance. That's shopmyplan.com. Again, shopmyplan.com. Let's save you some money. Visit shopmyplan.com today.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Heather, it's looking a little threatening out there as far as those clouds and weather goes.
It certainly is. We are expecting rain within the next couple of hours. Right now, the roads are dry, though. So if you're getting on the roadways right now, you shouldn't have any delays. In fact, all the earlier delays we had from a bunch of accidents on I-15 and Bangerter Highway, they are gone. We do have a little bit of slowing, though, due to construction, especially on eastbound I-80 through Sugar House and on the I-215 East Belt. Use Superior Water and Air for all your HVAC and plumbing needs. Call 974-9090 or visit superiorwaterandair.com. Superior Water and Air, we got this. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
These cloudy skies are going to stick around through the day today, likely through tomorrow morning as well, with a 15 to 20% chance of showers throughout the afternoon. We'll have a high of 56 and then warm up into the mid-60s tomorrow, 70s for the rest of the weekend. Right now in Salt Lake City, it's 51 degrees at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
You frequently hear in the news cycle, Tim and Amanda even talking about it this morning, billions in military aid that the federal government is sending to Ukraine. Now I wonder if some of that money will be coming back to Utah, and here's why. In a moment, we're going to speak with retired Congressman Chris Stewart on a new plan. It's actually a signed agreement for Utah defense companies to manufacture armored vehicles, air defense systems, and other military stuff for Ukraine.
I sometimes forget that the U.S. government just doesn't produce all their own stuff. I just think, oh, well, they must build all their own bombs. No, they subcontract that out. They have defense contractors that build all of these things. And it's not just waving your magic wand. You know, you have to develop relationships and be able to construct this kind of stuff. And when you're in the middle of a war, or if you're supplying, like we are, so much armament to Ukraine, then the production is incredible, and it costs billions.
Well, put this in perspective. Utah's defense industry is a very big deal to our economy. There's something like 1,000 companies who deal with this. We have multiple military bases. You know, we talk about Hill Air Force Base a lot. There's Camp Williams, where the Utah National Guard trains. There's Dugway Proving Ground, Tooele Army Depot. 20% of the state's economic activity from the defense side of things.
20%?
20%. Good morning, retired Congressman Chris Stewart, live on the line with us. Good morning.
Good morning. Great to be with you again.
Welcome back to the show. So your last day in Congress, I'm trying to think, was September 15th?
It was 2 weeks ago, a little more than 2 weeks ago. It seems like forever. And, you know, people ask me all the time, you know, how do you feel? And was it hard? And I'm surprised how easy it was to leave. I look at what's happened back there in the last couple of weeks, and it's so frustrating. It's just kind of heartbreaking to see the dysfunction in our government in so many levels.
I did think, oddly enough, I thought, wow, just in time, because just in the last couple of weeks, as you mentioned, you had the potential shutdown. Now all of a sudden you have the move to get rid of Kevin McCarthy. Let me just pick your brain a little bit on those two right out of the gate. First of all, what do you make of the shutdown? And would you have agreed to the compromise?
Yeah, I would have. I mean, a shutdown is to your main topic. Our shutdown is so destructive to our military. Most people don't appreciate what it does to our military when we shut down the government. And it's not just that our soldiers don't get paid, our contractors don't get paid. We stop working research and development. I mean, everything comes to a halt. And when you stop that enormous machine, it takes not days or weeks; it takes months to build it back up again. And politically, no one wins in a shutdown. It doesn't matter what the reason for the shutdown is. The Republicans are always blamed for the shutdown, and a lot of people realize there's just no victory in this. And I don't understand at all why some of my Republican colleagues, just a handful, voted against Kevin McCarthy's proposal, which would have cut spending except for defense and would have included border security provisions. And it just makes no sense to me. I tell you, there is so much frustration and anger back there. And we've been through shutdowns before. I've been through 4 of them. But this one feels much more emotional. And like I say, there's a lot of anger in Washington right now.
Former Congressman Chris Stewart on the line with us right now, just retired from Congress. And now House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is at odds with Republican Representative Matt Gaetz out of Florida, who introduced a motion late yesterday to oust him. We're expecting a vote later this afternoon on whether to keep McCarthy in the speaker spot. Where would your vote lie with McCarthy? Would you protect him?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no one else who can do what he's doing. And he's a uniquely positioned and, frankly, a uniquely talented political leader. If there was an alternative, that might change the conversation a little bit, but there just simply isn't. And a lot of people don't want the job. I talked to Kevin. You know, we had a real nice conversation before I left, and I told him thanks for what he does. But I said, Kevin, you've got the hardest job in the universe. To be chairman or to be Speaker of the House with a tiny Republican majority, or even a significant Republican majority, as we saw with John Boehner, it's just a nearly impossible job, and it's a thankless job. And it doesn't. And so, if they were to vacate the chair, other than bringing chaos into the Congress, what do they hope to accomplish by that? And none of these people who are proposing this can tell you anything positive that comes from that. And frankly, it's just a personal vendetta almost. And it's I think just a real shame that personal emotions and feelings have come to the point where they actually impede Congress from doing its work.
Retired Congressman Chris Stewart is joining us right now, and let's shift over now. Again, your last day in Congress, September 15th. It's now October 3rd. You've been working with the Ukrainian government to supply military equipment from Utah. How does that work?
Yeah, so we announced yesterday I'm the chairman of the board of directors for the Utah Aerospace and Defense Association. This is, as Debbie, as you were saying, this is an incredibly important part of our economy. As you said, 20% of our economy is based on aerospace or defense. Many Utahns don't recognize that. They kind of think of Field Air Force Base, and the logistics center, but they don't realize that there's this groundswell of actual innovation of new technology, whether it's artificial intelligence or machine learning or quantum computing or new weapons or new way to protect our soldiers. I mean, the list is long of innovation and, again, just brilliant ideas that have been created here in Utah. It's a little bit like Silicon Slopes, but just based on defense and national security. And part of that was kind of, I'd want to say, it doesn't finalize any business agreements or any contracts, but what it does is it just kind of develops the relationship between our efforts to help Ukraine and the defense community here. And I want to say, too, I understand that I have deep concerns about the war in Ukraine. It has frightened me a couple of times last year or so where that might go. And I think it's 100% fair, and we should be asking, what is the end game? What do we hope to accomplish in Ukraine? But the one thing we can do at the same time is recognize we can't just completely withdraw our support from them. And I think this agreement is a way to do that. It furthers the relationship with industries here. But at the same time, we recognize that we hope that we can come to a resolution with the conflict in Ukraine.
Congressman Chris Stewart, I'm going to beg you to stick around. Can you stick around for 3 minutes and we can continue this conversation? Because I have so many other questions I want to ask you about this agreement between Utah and Ukraine. Can you do that?
You bet.
busy?
I'd love to.
I mean, you are retired now.
Well, that's true.
So you should have plenty of time to stick around.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Oprah comes on at 10, so I got to hurry.
Okay. We'll gear up for the next round of questions because I want to ask you if this means that Utah, will be receiving any money, at least the defense industry and the contractors will be receiving any of the federal aid money that the United States is sending over to Ukraine for the war. That question and many more next. Thanks for sticking around.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Before Dave and Debbie get started each day, this station is all news all morning.
And later today, we follow up on those stories as you drive home.
Get important news all morning and all afternoon.
Here on KSL News Radio.
If you have a water heater, I'm about to save you $100. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and a lot of people don't realize that water heaters need annual maintenance. You can do it yourself, or you can leave it to a plumber. And today, Tuesday, October 3rd, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for KSL listeners. Normally, we charge $149 to flush and service your water heater. But if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your water heater for only $49. That's $100 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say annual maintenance can help your water heater last longer, produce hot water faster, and our plumbers service all brands. 801-443-7400. If it's been over a year since you've had your water heater flushed and serviced, call Any Hour Services right now. While you're thinking about it, lock in this $100 savings and schedule your $49 water heater tune-up today. Call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Tonight, there's a new crime drama on NBC that has America buzzing. It's called Found. There is nothing like it on TV, period. Shanola Hampton stars as the leader of a team dedicated to finding missing people the system has forgotten. To do it, she'll cross any line, including holding her own former kidnapper hostage and making him help solve cases. Shanola Hampton and Mark Paul Gosselaar star in Found, premiering tonight on NBC.
Then stay tuned for KSL 5 News at 10.
Tonight at 10. What do you do when your car won't start?
The battery was dead.
And the warranty won't pay to fix it.
Replacing battery for that Fiat is about $30,000.
Even the dealership says it should be covered.
At my wit's end, I've done everything that I can.
See what happened when this driver decided to call me.
I'd like a new battery. I love the car.
And what you should know about warranties before going electric.
Get Gephardt, Powerless Car Warranty, tonight on KSL 5 News at 10.
At Intermountain Primary Children's Hospital, we made a bold promise to build the nation's model health system for children. Join us in realizing our vision for the future of pediatric care. So together, we can expand primary children's impact and ensure every child has access to the right care at the right place at the right time. For a century, Primary Children's has kept the child first and always. Help us continue to do so for the next 100 years. To get involved, visit primarypromise.org.
Fall is here, and the holidays are coming fast. Zero Res is running an early bird sale this week. Just $25 per room for carpet cleaning. Get your holiday cleaning done now and save big. That's 25% off the regular price. The Zero Res method stays cleaner longer, so enjoy a clean home now and still be ready come the holidays. It's the early bird sale because it ends today. So you're only saving if you're a true early bird. You don't have to clean today, but you have to get on the schedule during the sale. $25 per room, minimums apply, call for details. And if you want to save even more, ask them about their special discounts on pet odor treatments too. Nothing beats a professional cleaning, and no one out-cleans Zero Res. The early bird sale at Zero Res. Just $25 a room. Minimums and area restrictions apply. Offer valid in Salt Lake, Utah, Davis, and Weber counties only. Schedule today. Online at ZeroRes.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
I'm looking for fuel injector cleaner.
Right now, you can get 2 bottles of STP Super Concentrated Fuel Injector Cleaner for only $10 at AutoZone.
Will it also help with my mileage?
Get everything you need to restore your performance in MPGs.
Get in the zone.
Wait, is it good for trucks too?
Whatever vehicle you have, you can find the right products and parts at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, a young girl kidnapped during a family camping trip in New York State has been found safe. The suspect is in custody this morning. Second, many Utahns can apply for low-interest loans to help cover the cost of damage from rain and flooding that happened in early August, starting today. And third, the family of a murdered Utah football player, Aaron Lowe, is holding a food and clothing drive to honor his memory. We'll shoot for a high today with these clouds of 56 degrees, and right now in Salt Lake City, it's 51. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
David Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
We have retired Congressman Chris Stewart waiting on the line. Asked him to stick around just a few more moments to talk to us about this new agreement that was signed between Utah's Aerospace and Defense Association, which he was just appointed as a chairperson of. Of course, he's retired from the Air Force, now retired from Congress, and now he'll serve as this chairperson on this association, which it sounds like, Congressman, is made up of multiple defense manufacturers in Utah. And you just signed this, what's called a memorandum of understanding, and it's an agreement with Ukraine to supply equipment to Ukraine, military equipment. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, that's right. And of course, it's not as simple as these contractors can't contract directly with Ukraine, or at least that's unusual. It happens in some rare circumstances, but it's important to keep in mind the aid we're giving to Ukraine is almost all, and it's not entirely, but the vast majority of it is in weapons and ammunition. It's in supplies. It's in the warfighting needs that Ukraine needs out in the Eastern Front, obviously. U.S. government, much of this money will come to the economy here in Utah, but it doesn't come directly. It's not like Ukraine sends a check to someone who's building and manufacturing these various weapons and supplies here in Utah. But what it is that the United States government has made commitments to Ukraine, and this facilitates those agreements. And so vicariously, it's going to help the effort here. I got to say, though, I don't think the main purpose in doing this was economic. I think the main purpose in this agreement was expressing the will and the desire to help the Ukrainian military. It will have some economic benefit, there's no doubt, and it streamlines the process, which was the whole point of having this MOU and this relationship building. But once again, we want to support the economic output and the economic benefits. But I think the more important part of this was this is an expression of support for the military and their efforts to try to defeat Russia.
I know the U.S. is obviously funding the bill right now. Is there an expectation that at some point the Ukraine will pay us back for these defense, the weapons?
No, I think that's very, very unlikely. And I think if anyone were to propose that would be actually, not only unlikely, but probably naive to think that they would be able to do that. One other thing that we should talk about along those lines, and that is Europe. By the last numbers, we had committed $113 billion to help in Ukraine. Europe has given at the same time about $23 billion. Well, for heaven's sakes, this is Europe's backyard. This is their immediate theater, their immediate area of interest. And yet, once again, they rely upon the generosity of the American people, just like they've relied on the generosity of the American people to defend Europe since World War II. Now, we're willing to do that, but we should do it fairly. And when I last met with President Zelensky, that's one of the points I expressed to him was, you should be pressuring the EU to contribute and to be more forceful and more willing. Don't pressure the American people. Make it more fair. To be able to tell the American people, hey, we're asking everyone to carry a fair burden on this, to have a fair cost sharing. And they've done that to some degree, but not nearly as much as I believe they should. And the American people expect Europe to help as well. They don't want it to be just a one-sided proposition here.
Congressman Chris Stewart, now retired, on the line with us, calling us because he's just been appointed as chair of an organization that's called the Utah Aerospace Defense Association. and they just signed an agreement with Ukraine, I believe. I'm trying to think of the appropriate name. It's not technically the Ukrainian government that you signed the agreement with. Am I correct? It's another organization that.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's with the support of the Ukrainian government. I mean, it was signed in the presence of President Zelensky. I mean, it's very clearly this is a not just one organization in Ukraine, but it represents Ukrainian military and Ukrainian government as well.
What type of equipment do Utah defense contractors make here that Ukraine would be interested in that we could ship there?
Well, I think there's all sorts of things. I mean, obviously, the large contractors that we have here, the Boeing, the Lockheed Martins, the large defense industry creates everything from armor to tow missiles to some of the longer range missiles. But there's other things as well. I'm very familiar with another company that makes a specialized grip for their weapons that allows them to talk on the radio, to illuminate a flashlight, to illuminate a laser designator, all without, from their fingertips, all without removing their hand from the weapon. It's a small company that's building up here in Utah. Again, one I've worked with for a couple of years. So it's a range. It's some of the most expensive, some of the most exquisite weapon systems on down to a gadget. I kind of hate to use that word, but it's a device that you put on the grip of your M4 weapon. So here's a really interesting one. There's an actual a company that has a deodorant that helps you not to perspire. And the reason that's important is a lot of times soldiers get dehydrated because they don't have access to water immediately. And this allows them so that they don't get as dehydrated. I mean, that's a new technology. And it's very, very helpful, and one that a lot of people would not have even thought about.
I did not see the deodorant technology coming through in this conversation.
Yeah, who thought that was?
I didn't see that coming. Representative Chris Stewart, retired Representative Chris Stewart joins us right now. A question for you. I've heard you speak many times about overspending in Washington, and I think so many Utahns absolutely share that concern. But then we start talking about real cuts, and Republicans say, okay, yeah, we can talk about cuts, but we're not touching defense. And Democrats say, well, we're not touching Social Security. Nobody wants to touch their favorite programs, but do you think we should consider cutting the military's $800 billion a year budget?
Well, no, I don't, and I know this is going to fall in line with the kind of your pointed question. Well, of course, Chris is going to defend defense spending, but there's a couple of reasons, and one of them is I think we're at a very, very dangerous time in world history right now. When we talk about China, that's not just a trifling thing. It truly is an enormous emerging threat. When we talk about uncertainty in Ukraine, and I could go down the list, Dave, but you know what they are. But the primary reason I say you can't cut defense is not just because the primary responsibility of the federal government is to keep us safe, and that's defense, but it's that it's not going to fix the problem. I mean, defense is a relatively small part of our overall budget. As you said, it's about $800 billion, but out of a budget of $6.3 trillion. So, yeah, you might cut $20 or $30 billion from defense, but it doesn't fix the problem. The problem, 70% of our spending lies in Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare. 70%. And so you can trifle and manage around the edges with the other 30% and cut here and there, but it's not going to fix the problem. And now interest on the debt. Oh, my gosh, this should frighten every American. We're going to spend more on interest next year than we do on defense. I mean, think about that. We're going to spend more on interest than we do in defense next year, perhaps the year after, depending on how interest rates go. And until we deal with Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, we're never going to fix the problem. And by the way, there are things we could do that would fix it, that most Americans would support. We don't need to cut Social Security for anyone getting Social Security right now. We just need to plan into the future and say to someone who's 24, might not be able to retire when you're 65 or 67. You might have to work till you're 68 or 69. But most of those people will keep working anyway because we just age later than we did, 2 or 3 generations ago. There are things that we could do that would fix this, but you have to be willing to look at restructuring Social Security years into the future, or we never will.
Former Representative Chris Stewart, thank you for joining us and updating us on what you're doing now. We appreciate your time.
It's always an honor. Thank you.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen at home on any smart speaker and in your car at 102.7 FM. This is KSL News Radio, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. We're starting to get reaction from two of Utah's congressmen on the effort to remove Speaker McCarthy from power. Congressman John Curtis spoke out back in January about this group of Republican hardliners who are now trying to take the speakership from McCarthy.
Regardless of what he offers or says or works out with them, he just won't vote for Kevin.
Now Curtis is telling the Deseret News there's no one available to step up and do the job as well. Congressman Burgess Owens agrees and tells the Deseret News, I've never seen anyone who works as hard and works to strategically and rationally open the door. As for Congressman Matt Gaetz, Owens says he's working to push Republicans apart. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, Powerball lottery just keeps getting bigger. ABC's Derek Dennis reports on what the prize is up to now.
As if Monday night's eye-popping billion-dollar Powerball jackpot wasn't enough.
To get your tickets ready, here come tonight's winning numbers. Let's start things off this evening with 27.
No big winner matching all 6 numbers drawn means the prize rolls over and grows. Wednesday night's jackpot now at $1.2 billion. That's the third largest lottery pot in Powerball's history and the biggest so far this year. An estimated cash value, about $552 million. Odds of winning, 1 in 292 million. But who's counting? Derek Dennis, ABC News.
And your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average taking a slide today, 387 points down right now, while the NASDAQ has dropped about 223 points. And our KSL weather, we'll get some more rain today, and then it dries up. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
Start your days with knowledgeable, friendly voices telling you about the latest news and weather out there.
Hi, this is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
In the business of waking you up each morning from 5 to 9.
On KSL News Radio.
Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. Listen, we're fiduciaries. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. Now, imagine how that would be if you could actually retire 3 to 5 years sooner than your plan was. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan, taking into consideration any rental properties that you have, any pension income that you have, your Social Security. Listen, we put that all together for you in writing. It will allow us to build your income based on inflation. You know, inflation has been rapidly rising. You and I both need a plan that whatever we start out our income at, in 5 or 10 years, we're going to need 40% more income. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15s. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
As the weather turns colder, this is when you need to get those new windows. So call Advanced Window Products. They'll replace your single-pane, rickety old windows with stylish, state-of-the-art double-pane windows with precision frames. You pick the style and color. They're custom-made right here in Salt Lake City. This company is so Utah. It's run by two guys who grew up here, Jake Weber and Utes defensive star Nate Orchard, the mayor of Sacktown with 7 NFL seasons under his belt. Great guys, great company building high-quality windows for 37 years. Unlike other companies, they build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. No middleman. There's Jake, Nate, and their team, and there's you. Saving on the highest quality windows. Right now, before winter, get $2,000 off 10 windows or more, and they offer 60 months, 0% financing. So call Advanced Window Products now. You could have stylish new windows in 8 weeks. 801-850-9100. 801-850-9100, or visit AdvancedWindowsUSA.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Heather Kelly.
Things are looking great across the Wasatch Front. No problems in the Salt Lake Valley on I-15, the east or west side belt routes, or 201 freeway. But southbound I-15, we do have a new crash reported in American Fork. It's right at the Pioneer Crossing exit ramp. Not really causing any delays. You just need to use some caution. The early bird sale ends today at Zero Res Carpet Cleaning. Just $25 per room for the best, no residue cleaning along the range. Minimums and area restrictions may apply. Schedule online at zerores.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, partly cloudy today with rain showers this afternoon, clearing tomorrow with a warming trend through the weekend. And right now, we're at 52 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. I'm Dan Bonas, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
David Dujanovic.
Our General Conference special that aired this weekend during the semi-annual conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we had lots of special coverage, and ours was about these newer weight loss drugs, or drugs that people are taking for weight loss that you inject yourself with. It's like Mounjaro, Ozempic, and I'm spacing out right now. Thank you, Dave.
Yep.
I had to do that for you last week. I mean, we're both like, oh, what's that?
The best thing about having another host.
They are just taking the diet industry by storm. And so Dave and I sat down with a number of people to talk to them about it. The ups, the downs, the pros, the cons, and we had so much great feedback from this special. We thought, why aren't we talking about this on the show?
Yeah, one of the things that stood out to me, I just saw this recently, but over 9 million people in just the last 3 months have taken one of these drugs. I think it was Ozempic specifically. It's been incredibly popular. It's gaining in popularity. So we weren't very familiar with this, so that's why we wanted to talk to some doctors.
Eyes wide open. We were asking all the questions I think most people would ask, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
because we've heard that the results have been great, that you can lose somewhere between 5, 10, 15% of your body weight, and that's kind of how they measure it. So if you're wondering, well, how much weight am I going to lose? They measure it with your body weight, and they say you can lose somewhere between 5 and 10%, maybe even 15% of your body weight on these drugs.
We spoke to a couple of people who have used the drugs and gotten firsthand accounts of their experiences. And it's not all rosy, but there are benefits to it. Let's start with Nick. Nick is in his 60s, diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. His doctor urged him to try Ozempic, and so he started trying it. And as a result of it, he also not only got his diabetes under control, which of course he was very grateful for, he was also finding that his pants were getting looser, that he was losing weight. But let's listen to how part of our discussion went with Nick.
I get about 900 calories a day, I think is what we calculated it at.
900 calories a day does not sound like enough.
I have a stomach ache pretty much all the time from the Ozempic. And if I eat any more than that, I really get nauseated.
Now, part of the way this medicine works, because you may be saying to yourself, well, I would lose weight too if I was consuming 900 calories a day.
Well, that's what I thought.
This is how Ozempic works. I'm trying to remember. Do we have the doctor speaking to this specifically, or should I explain this?
No, I can. Let's listen to Dr. Christopher Jones. He's with Intermountain Healthcare, the diabetes program. He's the medical director there, and we spoke to him too. So here's what he said.
So its impact on the gut frequently is to slow the gut down and to make it so that you feel full more quickly. Most people eat quite a bit less. The functionality on the brain is what we call satiety, or in other words, it tells your brain that you're not hungry.
And that's an important part of, you may look at that 900 calories and say, how in the world? No, well, number one, of course you're going to lose weight if you're eating 900 calories. But what the Ozempic does, or what these medications do, as the doctor was describing, it slows down your gut. So the food that you eat processes more slowly on purpose. So it passes through your stomach into your intestines, and it all moves at a slower pace. So you physically are fuller longer because your body's not processing it as quick. And then there's a brain component of it that turns down the volume. They call it food noise. It turns down the volume so you're not obsessing all the time about food, thinking, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. That's one of the hardest parts about being on a diet, is you restrict your calories, and then all you're doing is obsessing about how hungry you are. Well, the Ozempic turns down that volume.
We also learned when we were researching this that people forget to eat. They get to the end of the day and they're thinking, I forgot to eat. I have not been hungry all day, which is such a weird concept to me, because sometimes there's days when all I think about is eating. There's
true.
not a bag of pretzels that I can walk by without reaching my hand in and shoving pretzels or popcorn in my mouth. So this is how these medications work. Nick lost 20 pounds. Now the trade-off, well, so far, I haven't talked to him in the last week and a half or so to find out if he's lost more.
Yeah, he was hoping to lose around 60 pounds.
It's gotten his diabetes, type 2 diabetes, under control. So there's the trade-off there. He feels sick to his stomach a lot, which is difficult. He also told us that he was losing energy. I wondered if that went back to the 900 calorie a day intake that we're not eating enough food. We just feel listless and kind of just ornery, and we don't want to do things. We don't have enough energy on board. So he's lost 20 pounds, but he deals with these stomach aches. Now, for Nick, his insurance covers it. But one of the other things we learned is that if insurance doesn't cover it, let's just say you and I, went in there and said, hey, doc. In fact, I did this. I asked a medical facility a couple of months ago, long before we started this, about these weight loss drugs, because I'm always trying to get that last 10 or 15 pounds off and keep it off. But there's a lot we learned about this that I wasn't aware of. I just asked the question and then I walked away. Do you guys do this here? Yes, you do. It's under a doctor's supervision. It's like a medical spa facility, but a lot of these are under doctor, supervision. And so a doctor would administer it. And if you want to learn more, you certainly can. What we learned in our coverage when we were talking to Dr. Christopher Jones at Intermountain Healthcare about it is if it's not covered by insurance, it's $900 to maybe $1,300 a month out of pocket. I'm like, ouch. And if you go off of it, which eventually financially, I just wouldn't be able to keep up with that. I'd have to go off of it. There's not really great results if you're doing it just for weight loss to keep the weight off.
Yeah, you gain the weight back. And they've studied this, and they've seen that when you go off these medications that you can rebound, and even rebound plus whatever you lost. But one of the downsides to these medications as well is as you're losing this weight, it's not just targeting the fat weight. You will lose lean muscle as well. So if you lose all this weight, you lose this muscle, and then you go off it, and then you gain back fat weight, then you've really set yourself back as well. And that was one thing that the doctor had described as well to us. Now, to be clear, Ozempic and Mounjaro, those are two very popular drugs. They are used and prescribed to diabetics, people with type 2 diabetes. And that's But what they found is that this is a diabetes drug. The side effect, and they've been prescribing these for years, the side effect is the weight loss. The purpose of these drugs is not necessarily to lose a bunch of weight. It was to help control your diabetes. Wegovy was specifically used and manufactured and engineered for weight loss. So we talk to diabetics, but Wegovy is just the straight weight loss aspect of the drug.
Wonder if you've tried this drug, if you're listening, you've tried one of these drugs. Whether you've had success or not had success, love to hear from you. 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. We're going to take live phone calls. We're also going to have Simone Cycli. She is a colleague here, one of our KSL News Radio family members. She walked up to us when we were producing this special that aired over conference weekend. She said, I am taking one of these drugs, and I would love to be able to share my firsthand account with you. She's going to walk in studio in just a moment, talk about her experience with which one was she on?
Mounjaro.
Mounjaro. So it's a different one than Nick. That's
but
right.
Still being used for her diabetes.
But she's also had weight loss as a result of it. So 801-575-TALK. Give us a call if you've been using this. I'd love to hear from you as well.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hey, stay right here for more of Dave and Dujanovic.
And tomorrow morning, come back here for news, traffic updates, and reliable weather.
Join us to have a listen. Tim and Amanda.
Your morning companions for news.
Here's one part of life that doesn't need pumpkin spice.
Pumpkin spice has quite a powerful political lobby.
Breaking news and fall weather updates are all the spice you need. Start with Utah's Morning News with Tim and Amanda from 5 to 9.
Good morning.
Then Dave and Dujanovic, Boyd Matheson, and Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News as you drive home. News, analysis, variety. The spice of life.
So good.
On KSL News Radio.
If you have a water heater, I'm about to save you $100. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and a lot of people don't realize that water heaters need annual maintenance. You can do it yourself, or you can leave it to a plumber. And today, Tuesday, October 3rd, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for KSL listeners. Normally, we charge $149 to flush and service your water heater. But if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your water heater for only $49. That's $100 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say annual maintenance can help your water heater last longer, produce hot water faster, and our plumbers service all brands. 801-443-7400. If it's been over a year since you've had your water heater flushed and serviced, call Any Hour Services right now. While you're thinking about it, lock in this $100 savings and schedule your $49 water heater tune-up today. Call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Go to KSLkids.com and donate to the KSL Give-a-thon. We need your help raising money for sick Utah kids receiving treatment at Primary Children's Hospital.
Be a smile maker. An automatic gift each month helps save the lives of children all year long. Sponsored by J&J Garden Center in Layton.
A big thanks to other generous sponsors, including Big Canyon Homes and Sugar House Industries, for their amazing support of the kids at Primary Children's.
With the KSL Give-a-thon, we can't do it without you. Please give.
This season, your coffee orders are getting warmer, and your outfits are getting cozier. The world keeps changing, and so does COVID-19. That's why this season's COVID-19 shots have been updated. They're one of the best ways to help protect yourself against COVID-19. You can get a COVID-19 shot at the same visit as a flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Talk to your healthcare provider to learn more and schedule at vaccines.gov. And don't forget to get extra cinnamon spice. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Fall is here, and the holidays are coming fast. Zero Res is running an early bird sale this week. Just $25 per room for carpet cleaning. Get your holiday cleaning done now and save big. That's 25% off the regular price. The Zero Res method stays cleaner longer, so enjoy a clean home now and still be ready come the holidays. It's the early bird sale because it ends today. So you're only saving if you're a true early bird. You don't have to clean today, but you have to get on the schedule during the sale. $25 per room, minimums apply, call for details. And if you want to save even more, ask them about their special discounts on pet odor treatments too. Nothing beats a professional cleaning, and no one out-cleans Zero-Res. The early bird sale at Zero-Res. Just $25 a room. Minimums and area restrictions apply. Offer valid in Salt Lake, Utah, Davis, and Weber counties only. Schedule today. Online at zerores.com.
Everything's changing so fast these days, and that's a great thing. Back in my day, we were lucky if we could get a video to load on a desktop computer, but now there's the Xfinity 10G network. That means the fastest internet with faster speeds rolling out all the time, and internet that can power a house full of devices at once with ultra-low lag. So while one person streams a movie from their room, another can play video games in the basement, while another TikToks in the kitchen. It's the next generation 10G network, only from Xfinity. The future starts now through December 21st. New customers can get 1.2 gigabit internet with Wi-Fi equipment included. It's all just $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract when you add Xfinity Mobile with unlimited data at regular rates. Go to xfinity.com/10G, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and devices. Actual speeds vary. The next generation 10G network only from Xfinity.
If you've missed our conference special this weekend, you can head over to KSLNewsRadio.com and look for Dieting by Design. Dave, we've posted the full 1 hour special about Mounjaro, Ozempic, and Wegovy. You're getting ready to help me fill in the blank there. At KSLNewsRadio.com, because we learned so much during our coverage of these newer drugs that are used for not only type 2 diabetes, but for weight loss, that we've decided we got to talk about it on the show as well.
Yeah, originally they were designed for diabetics. And then what they found is one of the side effects or the byproducts, as it was helping diabetics, is they were losing weight. So then they decided to research and figure out, can this be a new weight loss drug? That's what Wegovy is. Wegovy is specifically for weight loss. It's not just for diabetics. So Ozempic, Mounjaro, you need a doctor to prescribe it. Typically, they do it for diabetics. The Wegovy will be, again, still a prescription, but for weight loss.
Simone Cycli, a member of the KSL News Radio family, you have been on Mounjaro for quite some time now. It seems like you started it in April, if I recall, and you've lost some weight as well. And is it treated your diabetes?
Oh, yes. My A1C is down. That's the goal, is to get a diabetic or pre-diabetic's A1C number down. And that's the biggest, I think that's the overall goal for the use of Mounjaro.
We have several phone calls, but before we get to our phone calls, let me just ask you, your experience. We heard Nick, and Nick was having some stomach pains, and do you have some of that?
I get about 900 calories a day, I think is what we calculated it at.
900 calories a day does not sound like enough.
I have a stomach ache pretty much all the time from the Ozempic. And if I eat any more than that, I really get nauseated.
Simone, what has been your experience on Mounjaro?
Well, not like that. They tell you that you can expect a couple of different things. One of them is, well, let's just say they're gastrointestinal distress. I'm probably not going to go into a lot of detail. And they tell you can expect those things, but they are also supposed to lessen with time. And, of course, it's going to be different for my body as it is for Nick's or for anyone else's. I think it is completely up to the individual how they experience these potential side effects.
But you'll say that your body has handled it maybe a little better?
Yes, if there was one or two, it seemed to just go away. It seemed that my body got used to it, and then it wasn't long lasting, at least not for me.
How often do you inject?
Once a week.
Once a week.
It is an injection, so it's not a pill?
It is an injection. Yep.
That sounds fun. Do you give it yourself or?
You do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So you got to stab yourself. All right, you got to be tough, no question. All right, we're taking your phone calls. Karen, are you calling from California?
I am. We are actually from St. George. We just are in California starting a mission. Oh. But I was on Ozempic, got very, very sick, Had to stop taking it. I'm a type 2 diabetic, so I take it for diabetes. My pounds, gained it right back. I'm on Mounjaro, but this is my frustration. Here in California, I cannot get Mounjaro. They are so back ordered that I am out of it and I can't get it. And they have it in St. George, which is interesting because they received a shipment that they had on back order. Here, I cannot get it. Everywhere I go, I am told it's back ordered. So my frustration is this. I need Mounjaro because of my diabetes. And I wonder if there is a shortage because people are using it as a weight loss drug who don't have diabetes.
No, it's a great question. It's a concern that the doctors we've talked to have had that same concern. In fact, I'm looking right now. It's a CNN headline that says, Ozempic prescriptions can be easy to get online. Its popularity for weight loss is hurting those who need it most. Speaking directly to your concern, Karen, and this is expected to be a $2 billion business this year, extremely popular, and there are absolutely shortages happening right now.
On our text line at 57500, Simone, one of our listeners, chimed in and said they can't get Ozempic. They just got a notification from their pharmacy that it is basically on back order. Have you had that experience with Mounjaro that Karen is just telling us about?
I did. But not each month. It happened once. For whatever reason, I thought that it had as much to do with the dosing, with the needle, regarding supply chain issues as it did with the actual medication. But of course, I could be wrong about that. There's people talking all over the social network universe about why these delays are happening.
Probably speculating that some of this does have to do with people taking it for weight loss
yes.
instead of.
I wouldn't be surprised about that if people are being prescribed it, not even by their physicians, but by physician assistants. And I think that's something that the feds are looking into, whether or not it's being prescribed correctly.
Kelly joins us right now from Bountiful. Kelly, what's your experience?
Hi, I'm on semaglutide, which I think is the generic form of Ozempic.
Yeah.
And I do not have diabetes, and so I wrestled for a long time with trying to try a medication for weight loss. But I'm a person who has exercised 5 to 6 times a week for years, been on all kinds of diets. Nothing worked. My body just would not.
We're soul sisters. We're soul sisters. I am just trying to lose 15 pounds, and I can't get it off, at all. And I exercise like you do all the time.
Yeah, and I started in July, and I have now lost 17 pounds. It's a miracle for me.
Great. How much are you paying a month?
I'm paying for my dosage, about $150 a month, which is actually pretty good. I've heard of people paying quite a bit more.
I've heard between $900 and $1,300 a month if you are not on an insurance plan that will pay for it. Are you on insurance?
I am not on insurance because I don't have diabetes. It's just, I think I kind of rationalize. I feel bad for shortages for people who are on diabetes, but I don't want other health problems later in life because of my weight. And so I want to be healthier all around.
Kelly, thank you for the phone call. Doug in Salt Lake, what's your experience been like?
So I use Ozempic. And the problem that I'm having right now is that it's shortage. I can't, I normally get it from Smith's, and they're on back order. And actually, I had to go to several different Smiths to find it in stock, which I eventually did. However, one of the big things, and my endocrinologist said that actually the Ozempic is actually they're using it off-label, because a lot of prescription plans don't pay for Wegovy, which is the weight loss version, and so they're using Ozempic instead. So there's a lot of insurance companies like mine where I have to provide extra paperwork to prove that I actually have type 2 diabetes for them to cover my Ozempic prescriptions.
Well, Doug, thanks for sharing your story. Karen Kelly as well, thanks for sharing your journey with these newer drugs that are being used for weight loss. Simone, one piece of advice that you would want to leave our listeners with that you've found through your experience in using Mounjaro since April, what would that be?
Well, it would be to be sure to listen to what the drug is doing to your body. It's affecting your brain and your stomach. And I would say that if you feel that it's starting to lose potency, just remember to eat more slowly and to really listen for that cue that says you're full, because some people are saying that it stops working. But I think we just get completely wrapped up in eating and talking while we're eating or doing other things while we're eating
all
et
the
cetera.
time.
I mean, there's so many things to talk about regarding
So it's breaking a habit.
But it is. And slow it down and just listen for that cue, because it is still there.
Simone Cycli, thank you for sharing your story with us. If you're interested in listening to that hour special that we have, it's called Dieting by Design. You can find it on KSL News Radio's Facebook page as well as on the KSLNewsRadio.com.
Next, your teenager gets how many texts a day? Parents, what are you going to do about this problem?
It's 10:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. A 16-year-old was flown to the hospital this morning after being hit by a car near Cedar Valley High School in Eagle Mountain. The Utah County Sheriff's Office says the teenager was on an e-bike and wearing a helmet when a car turned in front of her. Officers say she was in fair condition when she was flown to Primary Children's Hospital. The foundation created to honor murdered Utah football player Aaron Lowe is taking food and clothing donations. His mother, Donna Lowe, tells KSL TV they plan to give those donated items to those in need in November. They did something like this last year in Texas, and she says most of the help came from Utah.
I never felt the love that I felt from the people of Utah. They really loved my baby.
They're still trying to coordinate a donation spot at the U of U. You can find more information on our website, kslnewsradio.com. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Hunter Biden, President Biden's son, has pleaded not guilty to an illegal firearms possession charge that was once part of a plea deal. The plea deal fell through during the summer, and Hunter Biden entered the plea today in a court in Delaware. ABC News Chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl has more.
He will, face a trial, presumably in this case, because there's no sign that there will be a plea deal. But hanging out over this is also the tax charge. He also was ready to plead guilty in that plea agreement to misdemeanor charges that he had failed to pay his taxes in 2017 and 2018. So we're still awaiting likely indictment on that case.
And your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average sliding today, 336 points down right now, and the NASDAQ also down 201 points. And our KSL weather, the rain is still with us, but it's going to taper off. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:33.
Early mornings can be hard enough, just getting yourself going.
We try to make it a little easier with news and weather from comfortable, trusted anchors and reporters.
Join us on Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9
on KSL News Radio.
Tonight, there's a new crime drama on NBC that has America buzzing. It's called Found. There is nothing like it on TV, period. Shanola Hampton stars as the leader of a team dedicated to finding missing people the system has forgotten. To do it, she'll cross any line, including holding her own former kidnapper hostage and making him help solve cases. Shanola Hampton and Mark Paul Gosselaar star in Found, premiering tonight on NBC.
Then stay tuned for KSL 5 News at 10.
Tonight at 10. What do you do when your car won't start?
The battery was dead.
And the warranty won't pay to fix it.
Replacement battery for that Fiat is about $30,000.
Even the dealership says it should be covered.
At my wit's end, I've done everything that I can.
See what happened when this driver decided to call me.
I'd like a new battery. I love the car.
And what you should know about warranties before going electric.
Get Gephardt, Powerless Car Warranty, tonight on KSL 5 News at 10.
When I first started my soda weight loss journey, I have to tell you, I was a little stressed. Making that kind of commitment and doing it publicly is a big risk. I was a little bit worried. But I'm telling you, from the moment I started with Soda Weight Loss, SOTA stands for state-of-the-art weight loss, I knew I wasn't alone. I had a coach. I had weekly connection. I could call or text anytime to make sure I was staying on path. The 37 pounds just dropped in the first 90 days, and here I am almost 2 years down the road, and I'm still 37 pounds down. I feel great. I have more energy, and there's nothing to be afraid of because you don't do it alone when it comes to soda. You have that coach and nutritionist. You really attack everything, all points of the compass, emotional eating, your habits, your behaviors. How do you get food as fuel to really change the game in your life? So check it out at Soda Weight Loss. As I always say, when it comes to your soda weight loss journey, there's no time to lose, only time to win. So check it out at sodaweightloss.com, SOTA weightloss.com.
Swing a loop and ride for excitement at Beatty Days 2023, Friday, October 27th through the 30th. It's old-fashioned fun with cowboy shootouts, the ICS chili cook-off, 2K, 5K race, live music, bed races, a desert art show, classic car show, cornhole toss, model railroads, vendors, contests, and a pet parade. Head for Beatty Days in Nevada, October 27th through the 30th, and discover small-town hospitality at its best. Visit BeattyNevada.org.
Go to KSLKids.com and donate to the KSL Give-a-thon. We need your help raising money for sick Utah kids receiving treatment at Primary Children's Hospital.
Be a smile maker. An automatic gift each month helps save the lives of children all year long. Sponsored by J&J Garden Center in Layton.
A big thanks to other generous sponsors, including Big Canyon Homes and Sugar House Industries, for their amazing support of the kids at Primary Children's.
With the KSL Give-a-thon, we can't do it without you. Please give.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, no delays anywhere across the Wasatch Front, including Utah, Salt Lake, Davis, Weber counties. You have good speeds if you're on I-80 going to and from Park City over Parley Summit. No problems coming out of Tooele County on the 201 freeway or I-80. And right now, we don't have any accidents reported. Do you want a heating and air company which uses third-party verification over their work that's one of the highest rated on both Google and Yelp? Then call At Your Service Pros, 801-YOUR-PRO. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, partly cloudy today with rain showers this afternoon. Tomorrow will clear up with a warming trend through the weekend. And right now, 53 degrees, partly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Do you ever have one of those days where you feel like you get about 237 text notifications? Well, that's your child every day.
Stop it. How many?
My hair was just all frazzled yesterday because I must have gotten no less than 150 text messages. And many of them were coming in during this show. It was just a wild Monday for me all the way around. I could go over the list of things that happened to me yesterday, but the texting was crazy. I was holding on by a bobby pin by the end of the show because of all the text messages.
Stop spamming me.
237 notifications each day, according to Constant Companion. According to who? This sounds like a story. A week in the life of a young person's smartphone. They did a study, a survey on U.S. teens, and they said that generally they get 237 notifications a day.
Half of teens receive at least 237 texts. That's incredible. I've never received 237 in a day, not even close. And I never talk on the phone. I am an exclusive texter, but apparently I'm laconic enough that I can answer with one text and end that conversation. But I have seen my teens, and Debbie, so help me, it is constantly back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
A minute, I want to ask you, let's talk this out. Is this just the way our kids communicate? And so as parents, we have to accept. They don't make phone calls anymore.
Yeah.
They'll never leave you a voicemail message ever. They'll just assume you get the phone missed call notification and we'll call them back, which of course we do. And this is just a mode of communication. We have to get used to it as parents, but it drives me crazy. there's such a lack now of face-to-face chit-chat and communication or phone calls where you hear somebody's voice on the other end of the line, and the default is text messaging. But I want to get this. This is what is really, to me, is concerning in this study. It also found almost all of the kids participating used their cell phone at least once during the school hours, and the average use time was 43 minutes.
During school hours?
Yeah, at least once. Well, that's not once. They're not on one text for 43 minutes. 43 minutes during the school day. So one class period per day eaten up by your
By
child
texting.
putting their face in their cell
Yeah,
phone.
that doesn't surprise me at all. Because, to your point, that is how our kids communicate. They do not talk to you face to face. They talk to their friends. It's just constant communication. And it is incredible. It's not just one-on-one. It is a group text. So then when you have 15 of your friends and everybody's chiming in on that funny little gift that you sent, then it's just constant notifications. And that's the thing that I've noticed is, and I hate a group text. I loathe a group text.
Can't you get out of it?
You can hide it, but it's still, the blue bubble pops up, and I'm obsessed, so I've got to look at it, even though I know I shouldn't.
You need to have a family group chat, though.
I've got several group chats. My high school group chat for my buddies in high school.
You still talk to your high school friends?
Oh, yeah. We get together, a few times a year. And so help me, if someone posts, I know for the next 6 hours, that is going to be an active group chat.
But
it is obsessive.
Time out. Inside baseball story, how the sausage is made. About 2 weeks ago, the entire KSL News Radio staff was on a text chain, and there was one person, and I'm sorry, by about hour 4, you know where this is going. I wanted to throw my phone out the car window because it would not stop. And I had doctor's appointments. I had a lunch date, and my phone was chiming all afternoon long. And you know who the number one offender was? Suspect number 1, Dave Noriega. And at 7 o'clock at night, you were still texting the group, and nobody was listening anymore. We were so over you. Our boss asked one question, and Dave was making memes. Okay, I'm over that. But you don't hate them. You infuse them with garbage. All right, so
first of all, it was hilarious. I was on fire.
I got to the
and
end
I
of
was
it. I'm
blessing
like,
everybody with my witty comments.
I can't watch any more of this stuff that he's sending us, and then I got to look at him in the face tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. I'd be like, get over it. We're done. We're done with the text. Okay, what do you do with your kids? What do you do with your kids who are texting 237 times a day? That does sound outrageous.
Okay, the key here is we're not going to change this. This is not going to change. Kids are going to communicate the way they want to communicate. What I do in my family, I don't know if it's right or whatever, but we have designated times where the phone is down, where it is the family. So whenever the family is together, whether it's at lunch or dinner or something like that, phones are down. And the kids are very good about it. Every once in a while, they'll peek up, they'll sneak, and they'll start texting.
So you don't put it away somewhere. You sit it down by you in case that important job offer plops in, right?
It doesn't need to be there, but it is.
Okay.
But yeah, you can get some dad's side eye if you pick up the phone at
Does
dinner
it bug
table.
you?
Yeah, because I think you have all day, every day, as do I, to be on your phone. But when we're together, let's be together.
Let's go back to this average of 43 minutes a day that your kids are on their phone, which is boils down to one class period a day.
Yeah.
That they're on their phone. Doesn't that worry you? You have kids.
Yeah, no question. Yeah,
kids.
It's a huge distraction. And we just saw that in the UK, they've banned cell phones in schools. Mm-hmm. And that's something that doesn't have a lot of legs here in Utah. We tried.
A lawmaker tried it. Dave and I didn't try it, but
and zero support.
Fell flat.
Zero support.
And all I wanted to do, and it made sense to me, is stick your phone in the cubby.
Yeah.
And it's usually parents who are the ones that are in it. Well, that's generally what we've heard is parents are the ones that are sending their kids messages, so the kids have to respond. But I don't know. If your kid's getting 237 text messages a day, I would hope that's not all from mom and dad.
No.
That would seem odd.
No, that's
friends.
It's their group text.
That's our. Well, we haven't reached any conclusions on this, but I think there's power with knowledge in parenting. So now you know your kid's getting a ton of text messages a day. Oh, Dave, tell our listeners how to check their kids' smartphones.
Screen time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can set it up on your iPhones. I don't know about you Android folks. I'm sure there's a way to do that. I am not an Android person, so since the majority of the world has iPhones, then I can just tell you go into settings, or not settings, you can go into screen time, and you can bring it up, and it'll tell you how many texts and as a parent, as the primary user, you can track all of your kids' stuff, so you can see how many messages,
Snapchats,
how many time they're spending on each application, so you can track all of that stuff.
Next, speaking of cell phones, everyone around you tomorrow, including your own cell phone, is going to be triggered with an alarm. It's going to happen about 12:20 our time here in Utah. We're going to tell you why the federal government will be sending an alert to your cell phone and millions of other cell phones all over the nation.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Did you know Utah has just one all-news station in the morning?
It's this one. Weekday mornings between 5 and 9.
Start your days with us. We're Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Your morning companions for news.
If you have a water heater, I'm about to save you $100. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and a lot of people don't realize that water heaters need annual maintenance. You can do it yourself, or you can leave it to a plumber. And today, Tuesday, October 3rd, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for KSL listeners. Normally, we charge $149 to flush and service your water heater. But if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your water heater for only $49. That's $100 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say annual maintenance can help your water heater last longer, produce hot water faster, and our plumbers service all brands. 801-443-7400. If it's been over a year since you've had your water heater flushed and serviced, call Any Hour Services right now. While you're thinking about it, lock in this $100 savings and schedule your $49 water heater tune-up today. Call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Get ready, Utah. It's Medicare annual enrollment period, so why not make enrolling easier with United Healthcare? Whether you choose our online tools or over-the-phone support, United Healthcare will help you compare options so you can choose a plan with confidence. This is Medicare made for Utah, trusted everywhere. Explore our wide range of plans by calling United Healthcare today at 1-855-MEET-UHC. That's 1-855-MEET-UHC. Annual enrollment begins October 15th and ends December 7th, so call today.
Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News. We're committed to letting you know exactly what's going on. On our show, we're going to bring you up to speed on what's happening in the world to this moment. At the same time, the news can be really burdensome. It can leave you feeling a little bit depressed and even a little bit more depressed. My Minute of News is just a moment to lift you up. I'm blessed that KSL has given me the freedom to talk about whatever I want. Literally, it is my minute of news. Sometimes it's pegged to what's happening that very day. Sometimes it might be something bizarre that you didn't know happening somewhere else in the world. To make you smile for a moment, even on a difficult day, and make you realize the world is still spinning. I am so honored that so many people have appreciated and enjoy the Minute of News every afternoon.
Ride Home with Jeff Kaplan, weekdays 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, shortness of breath, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all add up? If you have heart failure and any of those seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, it's time to talk with your cardiologist and get the full picture. They may add up to transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy. ATTR-CM is a rare and underdiagnosed disease. Recognize the signs and discuss them with your doctor soon. Learn more at connectwithyourheart.com. That's connectwithyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Go to KSLkids.com and donate to the KSL Give-a-thon. We need your help raising money for sick Utah kids receiving treatment at Primary Children's Hospital.
Be a smile maker. An automatic gift each month helps save the lives of children all year long. Sponsored by J&J Garden Center in Layton.
A big thanks to other generous sponsors, including Big Canyon Homes and Sugar House Industries, for their amazing support of the kids at Primary Children's.
With the KSL Giveathon, we can't do it without you. Please give.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bonas. First, a teenager riding an electric bike was hit by a car this morning in Eagle Mountain. She was seriously hurt and flown to Primary Children's Hospital. Second, Aaron Lowe's family is collecting donations for needy families in his memory. Third, President Biden's son Hunter was in court in Delaware today, pleading not guilty to an illegal firearms possession charge. Right now, 53 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic.
During your lunch hour tomorrow, your cell phone is going to send out an alarm. It's probably going to freak you out because you're going to forget you learned about this today. It is a federal government test of the wireless alert system. And we're going to speak in just a moment with the Division of Emergency Management. Wade Matthews is on the line here in Utah. I wonder if they're coordinating with the feds to make this happen, but it's going to happen all over the nation.
Is this any different than the emergency broadcasting system?
I think they're going to happen at the same time. So radio, television will sound an alert like we've done before. It's just a test of the emergency broadcast. If this had been an actual emergency, you know the drill. But in addition, they're also going to ping all of the cell phones to send out a big old alarm, make sure they're all working.
That is fascinating because there are so many different carriers, so many different phones, so many different models. The idea that you'd be able to reach, there's got to be 300 million phones. Right out in America.
I also want to know if this has been an actual emergency. Like, under what circumstances would all cell phones all over the nation be sounded all at the same time?
Yeah.
Hi, Wade.
Hello.
Wade with the Division of Emergency Management here in Utah. We've also had him on the show numerous times because of the Be Ready Utah campaign. So let's start with this. Who's controlling the alert? Like, take us behind the scenes to tell us how the sausage is going to be made.
Okay, so this will be conducted by the Federal Emergency Management Agency in coordination with the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC. And those are the two nationwide agencies that basically oversee our public alert and warning capabilities, the Integrated Public Alert and Warning System nationwide, which incorporates EAS, Emergency Alert Systems, and WIA, Wireless Emergency Alerts.
Okay, so how exactly does the wireless, what do you call the WIA?
Yeah, WIA for short, WEA, Wireless Emergency Alerts. So basically after 9/11, the nation decided that the president needed to have a capability of warning the public or sending out messages nationwide after the 9/11 attacks. So this is a new system that was created as a result of that allows FEMA through cellular providers to send messages to wireless cell phones. If there's not, and you talked about a moment ago, the carriers, it's mostly the major carriers. There might be some small carriers that don't have that installed, but all of the major carriers will have that.
So let's say I am at lunch with a whole bunch of people who are all sitting with their cell phones turned on at 12:20 Utah time tomorrow. It's East Coast time will be 2:20 in the afternoon. Will all of our cell phones go off all at the same time, Wade? Is that how it should work?
Basically, that's how it should work, and it'll depend on the area of the cell tower coverage that you're in. And that cell tower will broadcast that message for a total of 30 minutes, but the phones should only receive that message or alert you one time, even though the cell towers are sending that out for 30 minutes. So maybe you have traveled out, you're outside of that cell coverage, and when you travel into that cell tower coverage, you'll receive that message. So it may not exactly all be at the same time, but it will receive a sound and a vibration along with some text.
Okay, what if my phone is on silent?
again, it'll have that vibration, and this is to also ensure that people with disabilities will be notified as well. So you'll have that vibration, and then a message will pop up on the screen that says, "This is a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System. No action is needed." That's what it'll say tomorrow.
So under what circumstances, if there were an actual emergency, would we be getting notifications? For example, what about like the Maui wildfire? Dave brought that up and thought it'd be a lot better than a big old speaker system notifying people to get out of the area. Would it be used under those circumstances, and would everybody in the country get that?
Okay, not exactly, but yeah, it could, but not everybody in the country would get the message. So we have the capability to activate this statewide and locally as well. So the test tomorrow is being conducted nationally by the federal level, but we have that same capability at the state and locally, and we could activate that for local emergency messages, tornado watch, tornado warning, wildfire and evacuation is needed. Something like that.
Terrorist
an
attack?
Earthquake, it would be after the fact, but we would maybe remind people to drop cover and hold on during the aftershocks.
What about a terrorist attack?
Yes, if there was enough warning, I think that would probably be coming from a national level, a presidential level. If we knew that something like that was going to could occur, that could be one of the scenarios. Yes.
What is it like to get permission to post something? Does it have to go up the chain, or who has the power to post something, or the decision making?
FEMA gives that power to the local level. So the county level, in Utah, we have given that to the county levels. And they have to take some training, and they have to apply for a memorandum of agreement, an application that states the types of messages that they can send out. But they leave that up to the local level to determine when it's necessary to warn their public.
Wade Matthews is with the Division of Emergency Management in Utah. We're talking to him about a nationwide cell phone alert test that's going to be handled at the federal level tomorrow. It'll happen at 12:20 in the afternoon in Utah. All the cell phones should sound off at about the same time and vibrate. It's just a test. It should say on your screen, this is only a test. You have to do nothing. They just want to make sure that these cell phones can alert the public in case of an actual emergency. Is that the ultimate goal and the only goal, Wade, is to make sure everything is, all the I's are dotted and T's crossed if there were an actual emergency?
Yes, essentially the purposes, again, are to test the nationwide capability of activating this nationwide. And secondly, it's just to increase awareness of the public that this capability exists. And we want people to pay attention when these alarms and these alerts come across the phone screen or across the TV and radio. Pay attention and heed those instructions. So it's for increasing awareness as well.
Just one quick question. Is this the same as the Amber Alert system, or is that a different system?
The Amber Alerts are go over WIA as well, yeah. So it's the same system. That's Amber Alerts are conducted at the state level. Department of Public Safety has
Right.
the authority to activate Amber Alerts over the WIA, yes.
Okay.
We've seen that there's been some clumsiness in some of the Amber Alerts, incomplete messages. What do you expect? Is this in part to work out some of the kinks, or do you expect this to be smooth sailing?
I expect this to be smooth sailing. This will be the third WIA test nationally and the seventh EAS test nationally since these new systems have been put in place. So I think a lot of the bugs have been worked out. When we had some of those hiccups at the state level with those Amber Alerts, we kind of put things on hold until the system was figured out and those bugs were identified and fixed. So I expect smooth sailing.
Wade Matthews, thank you for joining us from the Division of Emergency Management here in Utah.
He touched on something that you've brought up before. Too many alerts make you tone deaf to these alerts.
Yeah, no question. And that's one of the tricky things, especially for, say, an Amber Alert. When an Amber Alert comes in, I will pull it up, and it will say something in Utah County. Oh, I'm 65 miles away from Utah County. This does not apply to me in any way. So being able to geofence it, direct it to a certain area, make sure it's applicable to that area. Because you and I, we don't need a national alert system to know that there's a wildfire in Maui. So that is one of the things I'll be looking for, is to see how accurate it is and how many people it reaches.
Next, we got an announcement yesterday, kind of shortly after we talked about Representative John Curtis and the possibility that he could run for Senate. Well, we have an answer, and it's definitive. That's next.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen at home on any smart speaker and in your car at 102.7 FM. This is KSL News Radio, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour. A new study shows 1 in 20 Americans turn to alternative medications not recommended by the FDA during the pandemic. Those include hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, which are typically prescribed for parasites and malaria. The study found that people were more likely to use those drugs if they reported high trust in social media and former President Donald Trump. No evidence showing those drugs, though, are effective in treating COVID-19 infections. A group of neighbors in Daybreak have come together to create something they're calling Barbie Land. 18 homes along a common sidewalk being decorated as different Barbie locations.
There are a few people that just knew who they were going to be. It was their personality. I really wanted to be all pink and represent the movie as much as possible. Natalie knew right away that she was going to be Disco Barbie.
Liz Gallego says they came up with the idea after going to see the Barbie movie together. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. With just hours to go until House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is expected to bring up Representative Matt Gaetz' motion to vacate the Speaker's chair, ABC's Rachel Bate explains how Democrats are appearing more and more unlikely to save the Speaker as he faces this critical vote.
It looks like Democrats are coming to this consensus that they're not going to be throwing McCarthy a lifeline anytime soon. Democrats have been meeting in the basement of the Capitol for 2 hours now, and while members are coming and going, they're saying a lot of negative things about McCarthy, including that he's, quote, a man without principle. That's ABC's Rachel Bade. Your money at this moment, the Dow having a down day, 332 points in the negative right now, and the NASDAQ also down on the day, 190 points. In our KSL weather, it looks like whatever rain we have today is going to be gone by tomorrow. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
What do you need to hear in the morning to feel ready for the day?
Important news that happened overnight, the traffic you'll hit on the roads.
You'll be ready for your day with us.
Join Utah's Morning News 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
As the weather turns colder, this is when you need to get those new windows. So call Advanced Window Products. They'll replace your single-pane, rickety old windows with stylish, state-of-the-art double-pane windows with precision frames. You pick the style and color. They're custom-made right here in Salt Lake City. This company is so Utah. It's run by two guys who grew up here, Jake Weber and Utes defensive star Nate Orchard, the mayor of Sacktown with 7 NFL seasons under his belt. Great guys, great company building high-quality windows for 37 years. Unlike other companies, they build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. No middleman. There's Jake, Nate, and their team, and there's you. Saving on the highest quality windows. Right now, before winter, get $2,000 off 10 windows or more, and they offer 60 months, 0% financing. So call Advanced Window Products now. You could have stylish new windows in 8 weeks. 801-850-9100. 801-850-9100 or visit AdvancedWindowsUSA.com.
The country's largest used RV show is back and better than ever. Come find the biggest used RV selection in years, October 5th through the 7th at the Shops at Southtown. We're bringing in a massive range of used RVs from 6 locations in 3 states for this event. Shop used travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, toy haulers, and more all on site. Plus, find even more used models online at countriesrvshow.com. You'll find used RV pricing starting as low as $10,000. Along with a huge selection of used RVs, find new RVs straight from the factory already discounted for fall. Plus, all remaining 2023s are at fall show pricing. Strike the best RV deal of the season with no payments until 2024 on approved credit. Not to mention huge trade-in offers on your current RV. Then check out our Hunter's Corner just in time to kick off your hunting season. We'll also have consignment RVs at private sale prices backed by dealer support. Don't miss your best chance to extend your fall camping season during the country's largest used RV show. 3 days only, October 5th through the 7th at the Shops at Southtown. Open daily at 10 a.m. with free admission. Sponsored by Bish's RV.
Save $2,500 on a new furnace and air conditioner from Any Hour Services. For more information, call Any Hour Services or schedule a free estimate online at anyhourservices.com.
If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Even though that's an old adage, it's still very true today. And it's especially true of your old 401k. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, asking you to get that old 401k in sight and out of the company you no longer work for. But don't roll it into your new 401k. That could be one of the worst things you do. Of course that's easy. But when has the easiest way ever been the best way? Instead, call Trajan Wealth and learn about all of your options, including a way to earn an upfront bonus of up to 25% for your future income just for rolling it over. That's right. You could earn up to a 25% bonus for your retirement income just for rolling that 401k over with Trajan Wealth. Don't roll that 401k into your new company plan. Don't do it without calling Trajan Wealth first. Call 801-899-7600 or visit TrajanWealth.com.
Guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Ricky Meese.
Another gloomy day for a drive-in. There are still some wet roads throughout the valley, but right now I'm not seeing that any rainfall is impacting traffic. Good speeds throughout the valley freeways. One accident. This is eastbound on the 21st South Freeway at the ramp to join southbound Mountain View corridor. Those vehicles are over to the shoulder. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Our KSL weather, we'll see some more rain, especially this afternoon, and then that'll taper off by tomorrow, and we'll get into a warming trend through the rest of the week. Right now, 54 degrees, mostly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Congressman John Curtis said this in an op-ed in the Deseret News. I'm staying the course in the House. To walk away now would leave a commitment unfulfilled, which means he is not going to run for Senator Mitt Romney's seat in the U.S. Senate.
The reason this is so shocking to me, Debbie, is because he said this.
It's up there in the 9+ region. This is, I'll just say, I'm not taking this lightly, and not taking the opportunity lightly.
Lindsay Aerts had talked to Congressman John Stewart.
You're doing what I
now I'm
always
doing the
do.
same thing.
John
Curtis. We had talked to Chris Stewart earlier in the show, so it's a disaster. We'll never get these names right anymore. It's now cursed. But if you heard that.
Yeah, let me play this again so we can
Hold on.
take a breath.
Lindsay asked John Curtis if he was interested in running for Senator Romney's seat in 2024.
And I felt like it was at 9.5%, right?
It's up there in the 9+ region. This is, I'll just say, I'm not taking this lightly, and not taking the opportunity lightly.
You're rubbing off on me. 9 out of 10. So Derek Brown, former GOP chair for the Republican Party here in Utah and also host of KSL at Night, you need to bail us out. Thank you so much for joining us. I guess I was just surprised because it seemed like it was just last week that Lindsay had that conversation with Representative Curtis. And by Monday afternoon, I'm seeing the alerts that he's not going to run. What do you make of this?
Well, and it's funny. I was hosting the night show, and we were talking about Brad Wilson jumping in, and kind of as a sideline that same night we started hearing rumblings about Congressman Curtis doing the same thing. And you know what? It's like the ultimate temptation, because the reality is one of the things I found is when I served as a state party chair, and my job was to recruit people and encourage people to run for Congress, which, I mean, let's be honest, that's what party chairs do. man, most of the really good people were like, wait a minute. I'm going to be campaigning all the time, fundraising all the time, traveling all the time, and I'm one of 435 people. Like, that sounds like a terrible job. And so if you're someone like John Curtis, who's doing a really good job in the House, and he's getting all sorts of accolades for what he's doing, the idea of not having to fundraise all the time and campaign all the time and only run for re-election once every 6 years and be one of 100 people, I mean, it's tempting. So I know that it's something he wrestled with, and I talked to like his chief of staff, Corey Norman, to get the scoop as well, and he just said like he really did wrestle with this, and in the end just didn't feel at peace, and so you got to respect him for that.
As far as lawmaking goes, what are the differences between the House and the Senate? And how easily do the skills that you've gained in the House translate over into the Senate?
Well, I spent a number of years working in the Senate, and in the Senate, it always felt, and don't take this the wrong way, but it always felt like in the Senate it was a group of adults, and the House was more like the rambunctious teenagers that were running around. And in fact, we saw, we kind of saw that on display this last weekend with the potential House shutdown. You just have, and part of that is just the dynamics. I think there's a little more decorum in the Senate, and they pride themselves on having a little more decorum, and the House is a lot more rambunctious. And so, you're one of 435 people in the House, and so your ability to have an impact is much. There's just not as much of an impact unless you've been there, 8 to 10 years and you're committee chair. In the Senate, you're pretty much impactful from the moment you get there.
You've touched on at least one of the reasons why Representative Curtis said he made the decision not to run for Senator Mitt Romney's seat because Senator Romney is not seeking re-election for a second term in the Senate. But there's several different points that he makes in his op-ed article that is in the Deseret News. And he says, third, if one is not careful, serving in D.C. will drain a little bit of a person's soul each day. It happens so slowly that even those close to us don't see it. It can pull at the emotional, spiritual, and physical health of anyone who spends too much time in that environment. Now, I'm not suggesting that he's foreshadowing eventually, jumping out of the House altogether, but that sounds miserable. Frankly, it sounds like a miserable life.
Look, I'll be really honest. I mean, I have a tremendous amount of respect for all of our members of Congress because, I've worked with 3 of them closely, and I can tell you it is brutally hard. Like when I worked with Senator Lee, no one was there. If you're a staffer, you see this. You see he gets in D.C. late Sunday night. He comes back Thursday night. He's hardly slept. He's had 100 different meetings. He's exhausted, and then he comes home to his family. It's like it is a really hard job, and so I always feel like one of the things we need to do is, even if you disagree with them politically, is to give them grace and appreciate the fact that it's a major commitment. And so a guy like Representative Curtis, he's going every week. It's like he's there on Monday, he's back on Thursday. And it takes a toll.
It's a 5-hour flight. Maybe 4.5 if you got a faster flight. But it's a haul, and they're going through whatever Dulles, Reagan. It's not like they've got a private jet that gets them back here. They got to go. No. They got to go with the rest of us.
And one of the things that I think few people knew, but like when I worked with Senator Lee, is he'd have things. We'd have things planned for him here in Utah, and like on Friday morning or whatever, and then. So the flight would leave on 4:30 on Thursday afternoon, and at 4 o'clock, the Senate president would call a vote at 5 o'clock. And it would completely upend all the scheduling, all the planning, and we'd have to either do a late flight that night or an early one the next morning. And so at any moment, your entire schedule can blow up based on what's going on, the political dynamics. And so it is really a rough lifestyle. And so that's why I can appreciate why John Curtis is doing what he's doing. Although for him to stay in the House, it's still it's still a lot of work, And although he seems like the Energizer Bunny to me. I mean, he seems like someone who's always got a lot of energy.
We're speaking about John Curtis making the decision not to run for the Senate, that he's going to stay working for the people in the 3rd District. What is it about John Curtis? What has he been most effective doing in Washington?
He started, and I'll tell you, the thing that I think he wants to be known for, and that really he is known for, is addressing the issue of climate issues and environmental issues from a right-of-center conservative viewpoint. I mean, his point has been that Republicans, by just sort of being climate deniers, have disinvited themselves to the table, so to speak. And so his whole approach has been to say, look, Republicans need to have solutions to environmental issues. And if we do this, then we get invited to the table as well. That's kind of his message. And he started the Conservative Climate Caucus, and it's now, I think, one of the biggest caucuses there in the House. And so, I mean, he's become really well known for advocating, a conservative approach to addressing those issues. And I think if there's one thing that he probably wants to be remembered for, that's it. And I think that he talked about that in his, in his op-ed as well. So I think that's where he is.
Thank you for joining us, Derek Brown, former GOP chair and also host of KSL at Night.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has found himself in the crosshairs after what happened this weekend when he actually pushed a continuing resolution through, got it signed by the president to keep the government open. Well, not all Republicans are happy about it. They want him ousted as Speaker of the House. Here's what he has to say about that.
That's all right if Republicans and Democrats join together to do what is right. If somebody wants to make a motion against me, bring it. There has to be an adult in the room.
Oh, somebody brought it. That somebody was Representative Matt Gaetz. He wants House Speaker McCarthy ousted. Can he do it today? Next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hi, it's Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Why should you start your day with us?
We have decades of news experience between us.
And we take your trust seriously.
Come here for news tomorrow, 5 to 9.
On KSL.
Do you need tickets for Taylor?
Yes, please.
It's hard to find good ones to the Eras concert movie.
Tell me about it.
So let KSL do this for your kids. Or maybe it's for you. We're giving away a pair of tickets to a private KSL screening of the Eras movie. Just listen each day at 8:45, 11:45, and 3:45 for your chance to win. 3 chances to win every weekday. 8:45, 11:45, and 3:45 for the next 2 weeks on KSL News Radio.
If you have a water heater, I'm about to save you $100. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and a lot of people don't realize that water heaters need annual maintenance. You can do it yourself, or you can leave it to a plumber. And today, Tuesday, October 3rd, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for KSL listeners. Normally, we charge $149 to flush and service your water heater. But if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your water heater for only $49. That's $100 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say annual maintenance can help your water heater last longer, produce hot water faster, and our plumbers service all brands. 801-443-7400. If it's been over a year since you've had your water heater flushed and serviced, call Any Hour Services right now. While you're thinking about it, lock in this $100 savings and schedule your $49 water heater tune-up today. Call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis. And visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Hey guys, do you know what makes Revive Men's Health Salt Lake City different? You. Every Revive treatment and medication is personalized just for you. Revive has the experts that guys go to when their current treatment isn't working. They have a complicated medical condition, or they're just not happy with their daily performance. Since 2011, they've helped thousands of local men suffering with the symptoms of low T and ED. Their goal is simple, to get to the bottom of your issues and fix them. Your best performance requires more than generic ED medications or a low-dose testosterone booster at a low-ball price like you find online. Revive medications are custom compounded, affordable, and guaranteed to resolve your issues. Stop dealing with the symptoms of low T or ED. Book your T-check and exam today. Call 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or visit us at revivemenshealth.com.
Two friends taking pictures of the rising full moon on a summer night.
Two teenage kids doing what teenage kids do.
When a stranger with a gun and a death wish changed everything.
It was violent, it was senseless, and I will never understand it, I will never accept it.
I'm Amy Donaldson, and unfortunately, we're all too familiar with stories about how violence shatters lives. But what we rarely see is how they are rebuilt. In a new podcast, The Letter, we relive tragedy, but only so we can hear the rest of the story. The struggle to reclaim lives, the realities of grief, and the possibilities of forgiveness.
I believe in miracles. Sometimes I thought, there are no miracles. Yeah, there are, and this is a big one.
Follow The Letter at theletterpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, about 1 in 20 Americans was convinced ivermectin was an appropriate treatment for COVID, even without any evidence that it works. Second, the Halloween decorations in your neighborhood may not attract the same notice as Barbie Land in Daybreak. And third, if a group of right-wing Republicans succeeds in removing House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, looks like he's not going to get much help from the Democratic side. Right now, 54 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
It seems like there's a 1400s era sword fight right now going on back in our nation's capital. On one side of this, you've got Representative and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy fighting to keep his job as House Speaker.
I am going to govern what is best for this country. I don't understand how long will it take to understand that. I went 15 rounds.
Yeah, referencing his rise finally to speakership back a couple of months ago when he had to fight to win to be House Speaker, fight for the votes to become House Speaker. And then on the other side of this fight, you've got Republican Representative Matt Gaetz out of Florida, who's coming after House Speaker McCarthy's job today.
And the one thing I agree with my Democrat colleagues on is that for the last 8 months, this House has been poorly led.
To be elected as Speaker of the House, you need 218 votes. That's it, 218. Republicans have 221 seats. So the idea is, as long as all the Republicans are on board, you don't need a single Democrat to vote for you. Well, if you have a few defections, like Matt Gaetz and whoever else might follow him, he only needs 3. 3 people to defect, and Kevin McCarthy can't be Speaker, assuming that no Democrats support Kevin McCarthy.
James Curry, he's a political science professor at the University of Utah. Also, this is your realm of expertise. Congratulations.
Thanks.
I mean, what do you think about this? This does feel like in 100 years, students in high school will be reading what happened back in 2023, and it's just going to be, it just sounds like a big eyeball roll for them. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's the most dramatic case we've had of fighting over speakers and leadership in a long time, though this type of thing used to be more common
in Congress. If you go back to the 19th century and early 20th century, there was a lot more agitation around picking speaker. There were times where they didn't have speakers for long stretches of time. There were times where people tried to remove the speaker. We just, we went through 100 years of stability for that sort of thing. And this year, it feels like it's, the 1880s.
It definitely does. What do you make of, there's no question. Obviously, the numbers are the numbers. The Republicans control the House. Why is it that it has become so impossible to just pull anyone of the opposite party over to help support the speaker? Because it's not like the Democrats are going to get a speaker of their own, a Democratic Speaker of the House. Of course, that's not going to happen. Why will they not unify around maybe their least the least worst Republican?
Mm-hmm. I think there's a couple of things there. I think, one, a lot of Democrats don't believe Kevin McCarthy is actually the least worst Republican. A lot of them are still very upset at Kevin McCarthy for rallying behind Donald Trump after the January 6th riot, where initially McCarthy showed some inclination to punish Trump for his role in those riots, and then he sort of did an about-face. And all of them are still really upset about that and think that potentially other Republicans might actually be more palatable on that sense. And so to those ends, the Democrats are not willing to save him from himself and from his party without any sort of negotiations over, well, what do we get in return in terms of policy or influence or something else? We're not going to keep you there just so you can turn around and continue to try to jam conservative spending bills down our throats. Which I think is a fair approach. But then that doesn't really help Kevin McCarthy in his situation if he can't get the Democrats to play ball at all.
James Curry is a political science professor at the University of Utah, and we're talking to him right now because House Speaker Kevin McCarthy faces the potential of being ousted from his position as Speaker of the House, maybe even this afternoon. There's going to be drama unfolding. It sounds like they're going to take the vote. Matt Gaetz of Florida introduced the motion yesterday. It sounds like he did it just as they were adjourning for the day. How do you see this playing out? Have you mapped out the course for McCarthy to keep his seat or to lose it?
Yeah. So what's going to happen is at some point they're going to bring up this motion, and there's going to be an immediate motion to table it, essentially, which basically means just set it aside. And so there'll be a vote. And if that tabling motion can get a majority of those present and voting, it's over, and McCarthy is saved. But if not, if all the Democrats vote against tabling it, and then even just 4 or 5 Republicans vote against tabling it, you move directly on to a vote to remove him. And McCarthy's only chance is that there's enough people absent or enough Democrats decide at the last second that they're going to vote present instead of taking a position on this tabling motion that it fails, that the tabling motion passes, and thus the effort to remove Kevin McCarthy fails. Otherwise, you're going to move on to this motion. Otherwise, it's going to pass, and he's going to be removed as Speaker. And the real question is how many of the Republicans vote to remove Kevin McCarthy from his post. If it's 4 or 5, potentially you get into a position where now McCarthy could negotiate to reclaim the gavel or keep his position or something along those lines. If it's 20 or 30, with the number of people who voted against him becoming Speaker in those early rounds of voting back in January, then it's hard to see how he gets himself out of this without really sitting down with the Democrats and giving them something.
Matt Gaetz has described his speakership as a failure in the last 8 months. From an outsider looking in, what do you think about his job as Speaker?
I think from an objective standpoint of looking at what Kevin McCarthy has had to do, McCarthy has done extremely well given the hand he's been dealt. He's been dealt a situation where his party has a razor-thin majority, but has really intense policy demands. And he has at least a dozen members who aren't particularly thrilled about having him in that role, including one lead agitator in Matt Gaetz, who doesn't seem like he could be pleased with anything at all. And so the fact that he's been able to survive this long and has managed to walk that tightrope and at least do something, I think is quite an accomplishment like being dealt a terrible hand in blackjack and somehow wiggling your way out of it. That said, it's the amount of cheering and like spiking the football that went on about mainly keeping the government open over the weekend kind of shows you how low the bar actually is.
Hey, we didn't shut the whole thing down. Throw us a parade, folks.
I mean, and they still have 6 weeks here to work out a deal on the budget, and here they are, paying attention to something other than the budget today, which is a vote on whether to keep him in as speaker.
Yeah, and it's hard to say how long this will drag on. Because what happens, this is a little bit different from January, where if you don't elect a speaker, nothing happens. But technically, if the speaker's removed under policies they passed after 9/11, there is a list of people that the speaker creates who become, in order, acting speaker. And so the House can actually keep technically functioning without a formal Speaker of the House. They just have this unelected acting speaker. Now, it's hard for me to imagine that the same people who wanted to remove McCarthy from his post would be satisfied with that. It doesn't strike me that they'll just be like, okay, and they'll just move ahead with Steve Scalise or Tom Emmer or somebody else from the Republican leadership acting as speaker. I imagine they will want to move directly on to calling for a speaker election, which they can do, and they can force that to happen. And so, yeah, this is a distraction from getting on to the next course of business. But on the other hand, it may be resolving this standoff within the Republican Party about who their leader is and what direction they're going to go that is necessary to get to a point for Republicans to have enough cohesion behind something to negotiate with Democrats and negotiate with the Biden White House over what these final spending bills are going to look like.
Good point. Jim Curry, thank you for joining us. Poli-sci professor at the University of Utah.
I'm sure the first vote will be taken sometime during the day today. You can tune in here, keep it here, and we'll bring you the latest as it's happening. Next, we talked to former, now retired Congressman Chris Stewart in our 9 o'clock hour about a new agreement that has been signed between defense contractors here in Utah to supply and build military equipment for Ukraine.
It's 11:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top local story this hour. Americans have racked up over $1 trillion in credit card debt over the last couple of years, and financial experts say saving for a rainy day appears to have gone out the window. Here's KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly.
Even though consumer prices are at all-time highs, along with interest rates, Americans are spending like there's no tomorrow. The Wall Street Journal reports many people believe they won't be able to have once-in-a-lifetime experiences in the future, so they're putting short-term wants over long-term needs.
Economists say it's too soon to tell if this is the new norm or just a fleeting trend. Starting today, many Utahns can apply for low-interest loans to help cover the cost of damage from rain and flooding that happened early in August. Draper was hit especially hard during those storms, but Draper and the rest of Salt Lake, Davis, Morgan, Tooele, Utah, Summit, and Wasatch counties are all eligible for help. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Well, from our own Lindsay Aerts, actually, the House gearing up for a vote to vacate Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Representative John Curtis says he doesn't see McCarthy holding on to the job, but he's also not totally sure who will be put in that position next.
In my opinion, it goes to Kevin for a while. That's my opinion. I don't know. And then at that point, if it's not Kevin, what kind of personality or what person can bring this chamber together?
Curtis says he's talked to several of his colleagues who will only vote for McCarthy. Curtis is worried that by ousting McCarthy today, this could take up the entire 45 days of the continuing resolution for the House to get out of gridlock. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down 384 points on the day right now. The NASDAQ is down 238. And our KSL weather, the rain is going to be done by the end of the day. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:33.
We have enough people running around Broadcast House at 4 in the morning to field a football team.
Producers, reporters, the traffic team, and us.
This is Tim and Amanda.
Join us each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Tonight, there's a new crime drama on NBC that has America buzzing. It's called Found. There is nothing like it on TV, period. Shanola Hampton stars as the leader of a team dedicated to finding missing people the system has forgotten. To do it, she'll cross any line, including holding her own former kidnapper hostage and making him help solve cases. Shanola Hampton and Mark Paul Gosselaar star in Found, premiering tonight on NBC.
Then stay tuned for KSL 5 News at 10.
Tonight at 10. What do you do when your car won't start?
The battery was dead.
And the warranty won't pay to fix it.
Replacing battery for that Fiat is about $30,000.
Even the dealership says it should be covered.
At my wit's end, like I've done everything that I can.
See what happened when this driver decided to call me.
I'd like a new battery. I love the car.
And what you should know about warranties before going electric.
Get Gephardt, Powerless Car Warranty, tonight on KSL 5 News at 10.
At Shane Company, we believe everybody is made to shine. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. Your moments, your milestones, your love story all deserve to shine bright. You don't need an occasion. You and your life are the event. So put on earrings that make you sparkle, diamonds that light up the room, an heirloom you'll treasure for years to come. We're all made to shine. Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929.
Get the appliances you need right away at Lowe's. Explore the largest assortment of brands you trust, like Whirlpool, Samsung, LG, and A.O. Smith. In-store or online at the best values. Plus, take advantage of our everyday financing offers on top items, from refrigerators and laundry pairs to water heaters. And there's more. Get your new appliances delivered or installed quickly at your convenience, because Lowe's knows home improvement. Subject to credit approval.
KSL has your tickets for Taylor. We're filling a megaplex theater full of Swifties, and we want you there. Listen for the keyword weekdays at 8:45, 11:45, and 3:45. Then text it to 57500 for your chance to win. Want a reminder? Text the word Taylor to 57500, and we'll alert you when the contest is about to start. Details and more chances to win at KSLNewsRadio.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have a new accident for Davis County drivers with rain coming down, wet driving conditions. This is northbound I-15 in Centerville. It's blocking a right lane of travel, causing delays. A crash in Magna, westbound on the 201 at 7200 West. That's been in the intersection. Plus a crash 3500 South and 40th West, one on State Street about 2200 South. Do you want a heating and air company which uses third-party verification over their work? That's one of the highest rated on both Google and Yelp. Then call At Your Service Pros, 801-YOUR-PRO. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, partly cloudy today, rain showers this afternoon, then clearing tomorrow with a warming trend through the weekend. Right now, 57 degrees, mostly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Congressman Chris Stewart retired from his seat in the House of Representatives in September, mid-September. And he just got appointed as the chairman of an organization here in Utah called the Utah Aerospace and Defense Association. And then add to that, we just found out today when we talked to him about a new agreement that defense contractors in Utah have signed with Ukraine to supply military equipment.
We talked to the former congressman for about 30 minutes, and we asked him about a number of things. This section that we're going to replay for you right now really focuses around the military and military spending.
Of course, it's not as simple as these contractors can't contract directly with Ukraine, or at least that's unusual. It happens in some rare circumstances. But it's important to keep in mind the aid we're giving to Ukraine is almost all, it's not entirely, but the vast majority of it is in weapons and ammunition. It's in supplies. It's in the warfighting needs that Ukraine needs out in the Eastern Front, obviously. U.S. government, much of this money will come to the economy here in Utah, but it doesn't come directly. It's not like Ukraine sends a check to someone who's building and manufacturing these various weapons and supplies here in Utah. But what it is that the United States government has made commitments to Ukraine, and this facilitates those agreements. And so vicariously, it's going to help the effort here. I got to say, though, I don't think the main purpose in doing this was economic. I think the main purpose in this agreement was expressing the will and the desire to help the Ukrainian military. It will have some economic benefit, there's no doubt, and it streamlines the process, which was the whole point of having this MOU and this relationship building. But once again, we want to support the economic output and the economic benefits. But I think the more important part of this was this is an expression of support for the military and their efforts to try to defeat Russia.
I know the U.S. is obviously funding the bill right now. Is there an expectation that at some point the Ukraine will pay us back for these defense, the weapons?
No, I think that's very, very unlikely. And I think if anyone were to propose that, that would be actually, not only unlikely, but probably naive to think that they would be able to do that. One other thing that we should talk about along those lines, and that is Europe. By the last numbers, we had committed $113 billion to help in Ukraine. Europe has given at the same time about $23 billion. Well, for heaven's sakes, this is Europe's backyard. This is their immediate theater, their immediate area of interest. And yet, once again, they rely upon the generosity of the American people, just like they've relied on the generosity of the American people to defend Europe since World War II. Now, we're willing to do that, but we should do it fairly. And when I last met with President Zelensky, that's one of the points I expressed to him was, you should be pressuring the EU to contribute and to be more forceful and more willing. Don't pressure the American people. Make it more fair. To be able to tell the American people, hey, we're asking everyone to carry a fair burden on this, to have a fair cost sharing. And they've done that to some degree, but not nearly as much as I believe they should. And the American people expect Europe to help as well. They don't want it to be just a one-sided proposition here.
Congressman Chris Stewart, now retired, on the line with us, calling us because he's just been appointed as chair of an organization that's called the Utah Aerospace Defense Association, and they just signed an agreement with Ukraine, I believe. I'm trying to think of the appropriate name. It's not technically the Ukrainian government that you signed the agreement with. Am I correct? It's another organization that.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's with the support of the Ukrainian government. I mean, it was signed in the presence of President Zelensky. I mean, it's very clearly this is a not just one organization in Ukraine, but it represents Ukrainian military and Ukrainian government as well.
What type of equipment do Utah defense contractors make here that Ukraine would be interested in that we could ship there?
Well, I think there's all sorts of things. I mean, obviously, the large contractors that we have here, the Boeing, the Lockheed Martins, the large defense industry creates everything from armor to tow missiles to some of the longer range missiles. But there's other things as well. I'm very familiar with another company that makes a specialized grip for their weapons that allows them to talk on the radio, to illuminate a flashlight, to illuminate a laser designator, all without, from their fingertips, all without removing their hand from the weapon. It's a small company that's building up here in Utah. Again, one I've worked with for a couple of years. So it's a range. It's some of the most expensive, some of the most exquisite weapon systems on down to a gadget. I kind of hate to use that word, but it's a device that you put on the grip of your M4 weapon. So here's a really interesting one. There's an actual a company that has a deodorant that helps you not to perspire. And the reason that's important is a lot of times soldiers get dehydrated because they don't have access to water immediately. And this allows them so that they don't get as dehydrated. I mean, that's a new technology. And it's very, very helpful, and one that a lot of people would not have even thought about.
I did not see the deodorant technology coming through in this conversation.
Yeah, who thought that was?
I didn't see that coming. Representative Chris Stewart, retired Representative Chris Stewart joins us right now. A question for you. I've heard you speak many times about overspending in Washington, and I think so many Utahns absolutely share that concern. But then we start talking about real cuts, and Republicans say, okay, yeah, we can talk about cuts, but we're not touching defense. And Democrats say, well, we're not touching Social Security. Nobody wants to touch their favorite programs, but do you think we should consider cutting the military's $800 billion a year budget?
Well, no, I don't, and I know this is going to fall in line with the kind of your pointed question. Well, of course, Chris is going to defend defense spending, but there's a couple of reasons, and one of them is I think we're at a very, very dangerous time in world history right now. When we talk about China, that's not just a trifling thing. It truly is an enormous emerging threat. When we talk about uncertainty in Ukraine, and I could go down the list, Dave, but you know what they are. But the primary reason I say you can't cut defense is not just because the primary responsibility of the federal government is to keep us safe, and that's defense, but it's that it's not going to fix the problem. I mean, defense is a relatively small part of our overall budget. As you said, it's about $800 billion, but out of a budget of $6.3 trillion. So, yeah, you might cut $20 or $30 billion from defense, but it doesn't fix the problem. The problem, 70% of our spending lies in Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare.
That was former Congressman Chris Stewart, who joined us earlier in the show. I'm also monitoring, Debbie, the Kevin McCarthy situation. The House is set to vote on a motion to oust Kevin McCarthy. It's called the motion to vacate. That vote is expected to happen here in the next 15 minutes or so. When we come back, we'll give you the latest on the motion to vacate.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Before Dave and Debbie get started each day, this station is all news all morning.
And later today, we follow up on those stories as you drive home.
Get important news all morning and all afternoon.
Here on KSL News Radio.
Hey, folks, if you are looking to get some electrical work done and you're not comfortable doing it yourself, let me tell you about Master Electrical.
They have upfront pricing, so you're going to love this. When they come to your house and give you a bid on the project that you need, whether it's a ceiling fan you need done, you need some new recessed lighting installed, or you're like Dave who needs an EV charger installed in his garage, they will quote you and give you this upfront pricing guarantee, which means the price you're quoted up front is the price you pay when the job is expertly done.
Yeah, so if it takes a little longer than expected, you don't pay the price. They just get it done for the price that they quoted.
And go ahead, Dave. they cover a huge area of Utah from Logan to Santa Quin, and they're always open. They have emergency services. So if you get into a jam, give them a call.
801-543-2222. That's 801-543-2222.
Or you can check them out online at masterelectrical.com.
If you have a water heater, I'm about to save you $100. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and a lot of people don't realize that water heaters need annual maintenance. You can do it yourself, or you can leave it to a plumber. And today, Tuesday, October 3rd, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for KSL listeners. Normally, we charge $149 to flush and service your water heater. But if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your water heater for only $49. That's $100 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say annual maintenance can help your water heater last longer, produce hot water faster, and our plumbers service all brands. 801-443-7400. If it's been over a year since you've had your water heater flushed and serviced, call Any Hour Services right now. While you're thinking about it, lock in this $100 savings and schedule your $49 water heater tune-up today. Call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Attention taxpayers, ready for some bad news? With $80 billion in new funding from Congress, the IRS has launched their most aggressive hiring campaign ever to ramp up enforcement. If you're ignoring your taxes, don't delay another minute because your paycheck, your bank account, even your home or business could already be at risk. Now, here's the good news. Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm, can get to work immediately, helping to protect you from the IRS. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their tax attorneys and licensed professionals are experts at resolving tax problems. Let them help determine if you qualify for the Fresh Start Initiative or other powerful IRS tax assistance programs. Take control. Call Optima Tax Relief now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Dave, you now know what that sound means. It's time for Tickets for Taylor.
All right, Tickets for Taylor. This isn't tickets to her concert. This is tickets to her premiere, the movie coming up.
And if you want to be our 11:45 a.m. winner, let's just call it the D2 winner. If you want to be the D2 winner, all you need to do is pull out your phone right now and text this keyword to this number, 57500. Again, 57500. The keyword is midnight. Midnight. Again, 57500.
Yeah, this is for tickets to the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie. And make sure you tune in to Jeff Kaplan as well, his afternoon news at 3:45 for your next chance to win. Again, the keyword is midnight. Text it to 57500. We're giving out keywords 3 times a day.
And shout out to our winners from yesterday. Stay tuned. We've got plenty more tickets to give away in the days ahead.
Fall is here, and the holidays are coming fast. Zero Res is running an early bird sale this week. Just $25 per room for carpet cleaning. Get your holiday cleaning done now and save big. That's 25% off the regular price. The Zero Res method stays cleaner longer, so enjoy a clean home now and still be ready come the holidays. It's the early bird sale because it ends today. So you're only saving if you're a true early bird. You don't have to clean today, but you have to get on the schedule during the sale. $25 per room, minimums apply, call for details. And if you want to save even more, ask them about their special discounts on pet odor treatments too. Nothing beats a professional cleaning, and no one outcleans Zero Res. The early bird sale at Zero Res. Just $25 a room. Minimums and area restrictions apply. Offer valid in Salt Lake, Utah, Davis, and Weber counties only. Schedule today. Online at ZeroRes.com.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. This year, Utah Arts Alliance celebrates its 20th anniversary. The organization has blossomed from its grassroots beginnings into a dynamic cultural organization that brings engaging arts experiences to hundreds of thousands of individuals annually in Utah. Founder and Executive Director Derek Dyer is here to tell us more.
The mission of the Utah Arts Alliance is to foster the arts in all forms in order to create an aware, empowered, and connected community. Each year, we support over 2,000 artists and engage over 350,000 community members across Utah. Our 6 cultural facilities expand public access to the arts and give artists and creatives opportunities to thrive. These include Dreamscape's Immersive Art Experience, Urban Arts Gallery, Counterpoint Studios, the SLC Arts Hub, Alliance Theater, and the Art Castle. Each venue is unique and accommodates a wide range of activities while serving as creative incubators for artists, performance groups, and arts nonprofits. We create many cultural events throughout Utah, including several large free art festivals for the public, including the Urban Arts Festival, which is Utah's largest free art event, and Illuminate, Utah's Light Art and Creative Technology Festival. To learn more about the Utah Arts Alliance, visit us online at utaharts.org.
Utah Arts Alliance is leading the way for Utah's arts and cultural renaissance that is creating a better quality of life for all. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Expecting a vote in the next little bit here. It looks like it's going to happen pretty quickly, where we're not sure that House Speaker Kevin McCarthy will be able to keep his job, at least as Speaker. Representative Matt Gaetz introduced a motion late yesterday to oust Speaker McCarthy. Doesn't sound like there's any love lost between the two of them. And the vote will take place in short order. What are you learning, Dave?
Okay, there's a few things going on. You're right. It's called the motion to vacate, and any one person can call for this vote and essentially says we're done with the speaker. Let's choose somebody. So the vote is going to happen probably here in the next 7 to 10 minutes. Now, in Congress, it's hard to keep track of all the votes that happen because before the vote, they've got to have a vote that sets up the vote. So there are 2 rounds of voting before the official, are we going to oust this guy? They're in the middle of that second vote right now.
Kevin McCarthy, in the fight of his career to keep this, this is probably of all of the jobs in Congress, this is a pretty prestigious job. And what an embarrassment if they do oust him.
But at the end of the day, keeping government open and paying our troops was the right decision. I stand by that decision. And at the end of the day, if I have to lose my job over it, so be it. But I'm going to fight for the American public, and I'll continue to fight.
Well, Speaker of the House is third in the line to presidency. It's the vice president, then it's the Speaker of the House. So it's an incredibly important job. This is a job that Kevin McCarthy, by all reports, has wanted. He has fought for. It was very difficult to become Speaker in the first place. I think it stretched over 2 days. There were 15 votes that happened. It was a wild affair to get him elected in the first place.
One of the questions that we asked retired Congressman Chris Stewart when he called us in the 9 o'clock hour, if he was still back in D.C., would he vote to protect Speaker McCarthy?
Oh, absolutely. There's no one else who can do what he's doing. And he's a uniquely positioned and, frankly, a uniquely talented political leader. If there was an alternative, that might change the conversation a little bit, but there just simply isn't. And a lot of people don't want the job.
Why is Matt Gaetz not happy with Speaker McCarthy to the point that he would introduce a motion to vacate, basically fire him as Speaker of the House? Republicans are upset over what happened over the weekend and that McCarthy worked in lockstep with Democrats to push through a continuing resolution to keep the government open. And McCarthy has offered no apologies for that.
Debbie, I'm watching Fox News monitoring the situation, and former Utah Congressman Jason Chaffetz is commenting right now. Let's dip into that for a minute.
Something that can grind the House to a halt and have this vote. Nevertheless, who knows what's going to happen? This vote that's up on the screen is a different bill. This is not the motion to table, but members are still trying to figure out how they're going to vote on this one.
Hey, I'm being told that we are expecting any moment now for Speaker McCarthy to be walking over to the House. So we've got Chad Pergram on hot standby. So the second McCarthy walks out, we may have to jump to him, Jason.
Jason, it's Aisha. Just, you were the oversight chair. You did some pretty important work when you were on Capitol Hill, and there's important work going on now. We're also under a deadline, another government funding deadline, less than 45 days to pass 12 appropriations bills through not only the House but the Senate. A lot of work to be done. If there is no speaker, everything freezes. It comes to a halt. Can you talk about how important that is to keep in mind through all of this? Like, Capitol Hill has to work to get the work of the people done.
This is a massive distraction, not only for the funding of the government, but also all the investigations and everything else that's going on is obviously coming to the halt for this. I don't understand the end game. There was an offer on the table to cut the discretionary portion of the budget and add border security. And when a few people said, no, even that's not good enough, I thought that was wrong. I thought that was the wrong vote for them. Keep in mind, I'm very sympathetic to the idea that they did not go through regular order as Kevin McCarthy had promised with the appropriations bills. Yeah. But there is no end game in mind. They have no replacement. They have nobody that they can point to who can garner that many votes. And I just think you ceding control and the microphone and everything else over to the Democrats. And I don't understand what these Republicans are doing. I think it's a total distraction. It is a small minority, but the margin is tight. They've got the ability to do it.
So do you think that this
That was former Utah Congressman Jason Chaffetz live on Fox News. Of course, they are going wall to wall, as many of the national news organizations are right now. The House getting set to vote on a motion to oust House Speaker Kevin McCarthy from his job as Speaker. Republicans not happy with what happened over the weekend and how McCarthy worked with Democrats to get this continuing resolution pushed through. Keep the government open. McCarthy's made no apologies for it. In fact, earlier today, he said, look, if I voted or if I pushed through a plan to temporarily fund the government, make sure members of the military continued to get paid, I'm not gonna say I'm sorry. So be it. We don't know how this vote is going to fall, but it could be close.
Yeah, typically it takes 218 votes, but if it does depend on who shows up. If people are not showing up, and it does appear that maybe 4 or 5 Democrats will not be there, we're not entirely certain why they're not there, although some have speculated that the funeral services of Senator Dianne Feinstein, who died this past weekend, that there may be people that have traveled to California for her services.
Just looking at a headline now posted by ABC News, House Democrats don't plan to save Kevin McCarthy speakership. We'll see how this all works out. Maria is standing by live right now. Do I see Boyd in the control room as well? Boyd on standby.